Big Handsome was the talk of the turf. 4 for 4 since he switched surfaces, but in the Manila, that streak came to an end.
Outside Big Handsome, here comes Bricks and Mortar, 2 on the far outside, he's gonna win it.
The top 3 finishers from that race return in the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. It's next on Saratoga Live.
The Whitney awaits, and one of the top thoroughbreds in the world is ready. We'll have a preview of Gunrunner's Saturday showdown, where he will be a heavy favorite in the Whitney. Bricks and Mortar got the win in the Manila to remain undefeated. He puts his perfect record on the line in the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Once again, in that race, he'll face Big Handsome after a change in tactics and a lack of running room in round 1 against Bricks and Mortar. He's out to prove he's more than just a turf sprinter. And the class of 2017 inducted into the Hall of Fame earlier today across the street. We'll have all the best from the ceremony and celebrate the latest immortalized in the game. All of that coming up on another edition of Saratoga Live on this Friday afternoon. Good to have you with us. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame is our feature. You've joined us just in time for the start of the late pick 4 sequence here on a beautiful Friday afternoon at the premier race meet in all the country here at the Spa at Saratoga. Greg Wolf alongside racing analyst Gabby Gaudet. And this feature we have today, the top 3 finishers are back from the Manila. Big Handsome, there were questions about could he go on a mile 16th this afternoon. We will see. He did not go to the lead in his last start. What are we going to see from him today?
I don't know. Stretching out from the mile distance to a mile and a 16th today, Greg, you would hope that he might employ those tactics. But looking at races that several horses do come out of, I would say that the Manila is going to be a very strong race. And I would also say that the Grade 1 Belmont Derby is going to be a very strong race. We see here Bricks and Mortar getting the victory in the Manila, but Big Handsome, as you alluded to, getting some trouble coming down the stretch and had a duck towards the inside. But it's a Hall of Fame day, right? Big Handsome has to win the Hall of Fame.
You would think, right? We'll see. Bricks and Mortar wound up winning that race, but Big Handsome, Secretary of War, they finished 1, 2, 3 in that race. They are all back, but they have a few that ran in that Belmont Derby as well. Very, very deep group coming up in our feature race. With more on what we have coming up this afternoon, let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale.
And right, that Hall of Fame, Greg, will be preceded by race number 8. It's an allowance race, a deep field, and I think the main theme is lack of speed in this 7/8 contest. And we'll see 2 likely horses that will take some money in the betting. The last time we saw them was back on May 6th at Belmont. That's Portfolio Manager and Divine Interventio. Both of these horses like to come from way off of it, especially a Divine Interventio. The problem, though, with Portfolio Managers, there's a lot of stops and starts in this guy's career. I'm sure he has some potential, but he's had to overcome some issues. Now, one that drops out of Greatest Stakes Company after being the beaten favorite in the Iowa Derby is Petrov. He will return to the 7/8 distance, where the last time we saw him in New York was in the Woody Stevens. So we'll see if he can finally find his way and get some class relief against some older horses, albeit in this allowance race. But for more on the Hall of Fame, we'll throw it over to Andy. And boy, the 3 inside horses, those look like the ones to beat.
Feels like there are a lot of contenders in the Hall of Fame. This race came up incredibly strong, as it should.
It really did. I mean, you go back to the Manila. It was such a darn good race. You could make a case for all 3 horses could have won that race. And for me, you're just adding another one in Yoshida, who's a major player.
The significant thing about the Manila was that the pace was really slow that day, and our winner, Bricks and Mortar, that went to 3 for 3 perfect record in this race, overcame that slow pace and really looked good finishing in this spot.
I completely agree, Tom. While Big Handsome did get caught behind horses, and they're not going to rate him today, they're going to go, and that'll help his chances the best horse was Bricks and Mortar because he overcame the slow pace.
Yeah, you know the crazy part is with about 100 and some odd yards left in the race or down on the rail for a split second, he didn't look like he was going to win that race, but he showed a great burst of speed towards the end, and that's what you need here, the late kick.
Oh, you do. You know, now let's put in mind this, that's a one-turn race, the Manila.
Yeah.
And we're going to 2 turns today. I think that could affect some of the players that come out of the Manila.
Yeah, it does definitely make for a different situation.
Well, we look forward to it. We also have 3 horses coming out of the Belmont Derby. That was contested at 1.25 miles. This is a look at the field. And Bricks and Mortar for Chad Brown. Gabby going to have that inside post, a perfect 3 for 3 in his career.
And he very well could get the perfect trip, just rating from off of the pace towards the inside, getting that ground-saving trip. But Yoshida and Arklow, they are coming out of arguably the better race in the Belmont Derby. They're exiting Grade 1 company. So from top to bottom, this is a tremendous betting race, and it's going to be a tremendous race to watch, too.
And it's also part of a tremendous late pick 4. You see that pool size, 264,000 and growing. Let's bring you our track conditions, brought to you by John Deere. Main track is fast, and the turf course listed as firm for Friday action here at Saratoga. Here's the races we're bringing you this afternoon. We'll begin with race 7, $25,000 claiming race at 6.5 furlongs. We'll kick off that pick 4 sequence. The 8th, very difficult 7 furlong event on the main track. The 9th race is our feature, the Grade 2 Hall of Fame, and race 10. Close things out with New York Bred's 40 maiden claiming event on the inner turf at 1 mile and a 16th. You can play along from home with all these races that we show you each and every day. Get signed up and started with Naira Bets. Bet 200, you get 200 in your account. Use the promo code PIG5 to take advantage. Naira Bets is available nationwide. Go to Naira Bets, get signed up and started. Bet 200 and get 200 in your accounts. Race 7 will kick off our late pick 4 sequence. So 25 claiming race here, Gabby. 6.5 furlongs. And right now it is Curtis for trainer Chad Summers. Equipment change today. Blinkers go on. Opens up at 9 to 5. A little surprising here. And
he's cutting back in distance as well. This is a horse who has been a distance of ground for the past several starts. When he first started his career, he was sprinting against Maiden Special Weight Company, but I don't know. I think the theme to this race, Greg, is that we've got some dubious favorites in here, the 3 Curtis being one of them, and perhaps the 5 Italian Syndicate being another one of them. And these two seem like the 2 main speeds in here as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're certainly going to go at each other early on. There is Mark Hennig's My Friend, one of many you can make a case for in this race. But right now, Maggie, it's Curtis who's the 9 to 5 favorite on the board.
And that's exactly who we'll take a look at here, talking with trainer Chad Summers, who does turn this horse back and puts the blinkers on. He says he doesn't want him necessarily near the lead. He just wants him to think that, well, he's running the race somewhat by himself. He said he's going to try to take him wide here, and he says that the horse isn't the biggest of hearted, so that he gets a little intimidated when he's around other horses. So keeping him wide, keeping him thinking that there isn't anybody around him, hopefully is the key to Curtis here. He is calm, where I've seen him get a bit nervous in races that I've observed him in New York. So we'll see. I'll keep my eye on him and how he behaves out on the track, but definitely a little more of a settled individual here today. Moving on to one that I just keep kind of going back to from the physical perspective, and that's number 7 in here, Ethan Hunt, who will drop to the lowest claiming tag that he's run for in his life, this $25,000. And I like the 6.5 furlongs for him, as I did last time, but I'm just hoping that another drop in class will help his chances here. Looks really healthy. He's really well muscled. I like what I'm seeing from him here in the flesh. Hopefully we'll get decent price on him. He's 9 to 1 right now. Andy?
Trust. Who can you actually trust in this race? Because I think it's hard to trust a lot of these horses, and we'll start with the 5-horse Italian Syndicate. Yeah, he got caught on a dead rail last time out for some of the race, but he collapsed badly at 3 to 5, and I think we're going to go back to a win of his on April 9th, Paul, and that day he rode a huge speed track to victory.
Yeah, and the horse that came back and beat him in his last start was the one that he basically ran off his feet, and he won this race nicely. In 124-1, he was the favorite that day. He broke very sharply. He's been caught in a couple speed duels since, and maybe he got put over his head in his next start, Tom, and it might have discouraged him, but now he's fresh.
Yeah, let's watch the latter part of this race, Paul and Andy, and you'll see he's starting to slow down. He's tired, but that's how he makes his living. He wins his races in the first half mile of the race, gets a big advantage on horses, and then tries to coast on in. If he can clear horses today, and there's only one other speed horse in this race, in my opinion, and that's the 8, Lifelong Dream, but if he clears this group, it's going to make everybody's job difficult, and Italian Syndicate, the 5 horses, very, very easy to possibly win.
He is the likely speed of this race. I don't like that he drops off the claim. He was claimed by a good trainer. He can win this race. The track has once again gotten very kind to inside runners. But, Paul, you don't trust him completely. You're using 4.
Well, I'm using 4. The one in here, Conquest Sure Shot, is a complete wild card horse. You really don't know what you're getting there. I'm going to use Curtis because he's got the best win on paper. To get to my single, I like Big Handsome. I thought he was giant last time in the Manila. I think today he takes the initiative, and maybe he pushes Secretary at War a little bit faster and then gets to the outside, and I just got to hope he's best. That's a loaded field. Yoshida's going to come running. And the last race for me was a crapshoot, guys. I'm going to go deep in there.
One horse you're not using in this race is the 8, Lifelong Dreamer, and I'm not sure what to do with him. He ran well enough to win this race 2 and 3 back. He should be the stalking horse sitting in second in this race, but his last race, he had a mild stumble to his knees last time, but he was bad, Tom.
Well, like the horse we talked about earlier, Italian Syndicate, the 5, Lifelong Dreamer, the 8, makes his living on the front end as well. And they're both coming off bad races. But what do you do with those 2 horses? They challenge each other. They seem to be one-dimensional type horses, and if they're not going to clear one another, then it sets up for a closer.
Here's the issue in this race. When you look, I know horses are cutting back in distance, but look at Curtis. Has he realistically ever passed a horse? The 1, he's passed horses, but on turf. You look at the 4, not really, runs the same race. I can see 1 on there. The 6, there's 1 on there, and that was at Presque Isle Downs. You look at the body of this field, nobody really likes to pass horses, so the horse that gets to the front in here could be dangerous.
We'll see. I mean, I think the 5's going to go, and the 8 is going to be behind him. We've moved on to the 1, Conquest Sure Shot at this point. I've taken a shot with him. I took a shot simply because I'm trainer stats or whatever. He's a new face in here. He was bought for $27,000 at the Conquest Dispersal. So the fact he's running for $25,000 isn't really a negative. It's a new gelding, blinkers on. He's got the inside, and Kendrick Carmouche is going to understand the rail is good. So he doesn't have speed, Tom. He's not going to leave the rail. If he
right, but he's never run on the dirt, Andy, and I know you recognize that as well. So this is his first start on the dirt. How is he going to fare today? This is one of those horses coming off a long layoff, first-time gelding, blinkers on, change of trainers. I always want to look at the odds board to see if there's any money showing on this particular type of horse. And in my opinion, money is showing on Conquest Sure Shot at 9-2. Look, when you look at this horse's pedigree, and again, he has never started on the dirt, it slants to dirt and sprint in his family.
And I just want to know if Greg is using him in the pick 5, because Greg's coming off a very big win.
I was coming off a very big win, and I tried to play again this afternoon. I've already been bounced from the pick 5, so.
That's okay.
But I did use that horse.
Right? We've got the late pick 4 still.
That's true. You can start over right here. It does look, it looks like there's a few that want to go the lead in here, right? So why wouldn't, Paul said he thought whoever goes to the front, and maybe this horse is the one, just keeps on going. But do you think it also sets up maybe for someone to come from off the pace, or no?
When I initially looked at this race, I was interested in Italian Syndicate because I went back and I watched that race at Aqueduct on the 9th of April. And it just looked like he had a high cruising speed. He was very quick out of the gate. And then his races after that, Greg, have been a little bit untrustworthy. And I do think that the 8 Lifelong Dreamer to the outside has speed, and it is a need the lead type. So bottom line is I want a horse that might be a little bit more versatile, and I found that in Conquest Sure Shot. This is a horse who faced really quality company on the turf. Now, it is a little bit of a crapshoot. We don't know if he's going to transition that form to the main track, but why not take a shot?
It is a question mark for sure. He's only been on turf so far. Of course, that worked out for a certain Bilmont trainee in the Jim Dandy.
It sure did.
Although I'm not sure this horse is of the same quality.
Probably
it
not.
It can happen.
But there is some pedigree to suggest. I mean, you obviously get the Scat Daddy influence on the top side that suggests turf. But on the bottom side, the mare, she ran on everything. She ran on turf, dirt, synthetic. So there's a little bit of confidence when you look at the bottom side of the pedigree.
And we'll see what Kendrick does. We always talk about how aggressive a rider he is. The inside post blinkers go on today. This horse has been gelded as well, so a lot of changes going on with Conquest Sure Shot. as we get a look there at my friend for trainer Mark Hennig rolling by. I'm waiting for that young man to get started and kind of get rolling in here. Manny Franco just went by in the 5. He had a tremendous Belmont meet. Things have got off to a little slow start for him here.
It's tough here. You know, you get here and you still ride for the same barns that you did maybe downstate, but you're just not winning at the same clip. But he's been riding very good races. Greg, I just don't think he's been getting that lucky. And
obviously this barn, ultra dangerous. Danny Gargan off the claim, 23% first off the claim, and he's having a tremendous Saratoga early on.
He has, for a claiming trainer, he has really transitioned his form from downstate to upstate Saratoga. We've seen some of those similar types of trainers not really do so, but his horses have been in incredibly good form. But Rudy Rodriguez is a good claiming trainer, so I don't know how much he can improve off of him.
Post parade coming up for the 7th race here to kick off this late pick 4. We'll begin with the horse who will debut on dirt here. First time on the dirt surface for Conquest Sure Shot, trained by Brendan Walsh with Kendrick Carmouche.
And first time Brendan Walsh, as you alluded to, the blinkers do go on. We'll see if he can improve, or if not, at least make a lateral move on the dirt today.
Yeah, he was 12-1 morning line. He's 9-2, so he is taking money. Curtis, the 3, Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard for Chad Summers.
Blinkers go on and cuts back in distance. He hasn't sprinted in a long time.
My Friend is the 4, trained by Mark Hennig, 12-1 on the board. Ricardo Santana Jr. rides.
He has races at Gulfstream this spring and winter that are good enough to win here, but his recent 2 races have not been good.
Italian Syndicate is the 5. It's Danny Gargan off the claim. Manny Franco aboard for Midwest Thoroughbreds.
Very quick horse, and I'd imagine he might be the speed of the speed.
Bruce Golden Racing sends out Star Empire. Blinkers come off, and second off the claim for David Jacobson.
Just feels like they're searching for an identity for a horse who's lost his good form.
Ethan Hunt is the 7. John Toscano Jr. trains, and Rosario Montañez in the irons.
Well, we're talking about a couple horses that need the lead. He surely does not fit in that category, so he'll be hoping for a pace meltdown.
And lifelong dreamer, it's Gary Gullo off the claim here, Jose Ortiz.
Likely to be sitting second early behind the likely loose speed Italian Syndicate. He's got to get back to his races 2 and 3 back.
That is your field for the first leg of this late pick 4. Of course, the Naira Bets late pick 5, they've increased the daily single ticket winner payout to $150,000 and $300,000 on Saturdays, which includes Whitney Day this Saturday. The Naira Bets Pick 5 exclusively available for Naira Bets customers, New York on-track bettors, and those wagering with a New York simulcasting facility. If you do not live in the state of New York, the only way to play it is with Naira Bets. We're going to take a break in the action. Next, the reigning 4-time Eclipse Award-winning jockey Javier Castellano gets his Hall Pass. All the best from the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies.
Claiborne Farm presents Trap Shot. This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer is now an emerging young sire. His top runners include Fish Trap Road, winner of the Grade 3 Dwyer Stakes, plus 2-year-old stakes winner Mirai, graded stakes place Quick Release, and Grade 1 performers My Man Sam and Wild Shot. Already ranked among the nation's leading sires of 2-year-old winners, Trap Shot has the speed, the class, and the pedigree to remain Tappett's top sign. Trap Shot at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off. Naira Bets Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NairaBets.com. Bet the Naira Bets Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NairaBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Naira track or New York OTB location. Naira Bets Pick 5, racing's best bet.
It was a privilege to ride with you, Javier, and even a greater honor to call you friend. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Let's please give a warm welcome to the newest Hall of Fame inductee, Javier Castellano.
I truly know how big an honor this is. I hope I can live up the expectation that all the Hall of Fame riders have set for me. Horse race is truly passion of mine, and see the industry flourish is so very important. This game, we go through a lot of change, but everyone here in this room, I believe how many are saying aspiration to love this beautiful animal that give us wonderful young and many thrills that are given to us. The high can be high, the low can be low, but I hope that we can all stick together and be loyal to one another and the sport.
Tremendous moment for the man who is the 4-time reigning Eclipse Award-winning rider, and as tremendous a rider as he is, a great person too, and he mentors a lot of these younger guys.
He has a work ethic that is absolutely unparalleled. You see him out in the mornings and the afternoons, and he will ride any horse, no matter what the level is, like they are a grade 1 caliber horse. And we all know that he does his homework. He is fully prepared before each race he rides. So he is a tremendous athlete, and I couldn't think of anybody else more deserving.
Incredibly well-deserved. He has been at the pinnacle of the sport each of the last 4 years, so everyone on this show saying their congratulations to Javier Castellano. Yeah. Very, very popular rider out here and nationwide as well. But a great moment, guys, to see Javier get his moment in the Hall.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just, as Gabby was alluding to, he's a guy who shows up every day. I remember being down at Gulfstream 2 winters ago, and he won the 3rd consecutive Eclipse Award Saturday night. Sunday, he rode either the first or second race in a 62.5 claiming race, and he rode a horse that if you had a horse in the Breeders' Cup, you would have been proud of the ride he gave him. That's the kind of rider he is.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, how many times you get a rider, for me, that's an elite rider like Javier Castellano, but he'll get on a maiden claimer 32, he'll get on a maiden 16 going 5 furlongs in the 5th race before he rides a grade 1. In the world where we have a lot of cupcakes as athletes, this man is not a cupcake, and he deserves the Hall of Fame.
No, he does indeed. And you know what? He's brilliant about making the right instinctive move in a race. I see it all the time with him. He always makes the right decision, and that's one of the reasons why he's our top rider.
Yeah, there's no question about it as we head out to Maggie.
And I couldn't echo those sentiments much more than what you guys have, but first things first, back to this race here as horses are approaching the starting gate. And looking at number 1, that is Conquest Sure Shot, who is trying the dirt for the first time as he will make his first start off the bench for trainer Brendan Walsh. And I couldn't help but be won over the more and more I observe this horse in the paddock and out on the track. He looks fit. He's moving tremendously over the dirt. Now, my first impression was that he had a turf hoof to him, but the way he moved over the dirt in his warm-up, I think he'll be able to handle it quite nicely. And then quickly taking a look at number 5, that is Italian Syndicate here for Danny Gargan. Well, if you want trainer confidence, that's what Danny Gargan has with Italian Syndicate. He gave me the good old thumbs up as we were leaving the paddock, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. And there is his horse, the 5 on the board at 3-1. Danny Gargan having a tremendous meet. I feel like there's too much weight on the 1 now. I'm not sure if this horse can do it with all the analysts picking the 1.
Well, you know, I do agree with that. And don't you think that 9-2 or a price around that is a little bit low for a horse that really is unproven on the main track?
Well, I look at that and see maybe this is a good thing that this horse was 12-1 morning line and taking all this play, because maybe the secret's out that this horse can handle the dirt. Send it upstairs. The start of the late pick 4 coming up. It is Curtis, the 3, our favorite. Here's the voice of the Triple Crown, Larry Colmus with the call.
Here comes Ethan Hunt into the starting gate, and Lifelong Dreamer will be the last one to go in. Steps forward and in. They're all in line. They're off. Italian Syndicate Comes out sharply. Lifelong Dreamer on the far outside, away running in second. My Friend is out third from the inside. And they're followed by Ethan Hunt. Conquest Sure Shot rushing through an opening at the rail. Curtis is right there between horses. The trailer is Star Empire, but not far behind. 5.5 lengths off of front-running Italian Syndicate, who leads them up the backstretch, rolling along on a 2-length lead over Lifelong Dreamer, 21.91, a flashy opening quarter mile. Then My Friend, Curtis on the outside, Conquest Sure Shot between those two, Ethan Hunt and Star Empire around the far turn. Italian Syndicate and Manny Franco continue to lead the way. 1.5 lengths to Lifelong Dreamer. Curtis is on the outside. Conquest Sure Shot's getting going too. Now third and charging up. Curtis wide in fourth. He's got to do better. The half was 44.81. And they're into the stretch, and it's Italian Syndicate. Conquest Sure Shot bearing down on the outside. 1 furlong to run. Star Empire is third and coming on two. Conquest Sure Shot strikes the front. Taking over here, Star Empire on the outside, then Italian Syndicate down toward the rail. Conquest Sure Shot sure did. Won it by 4 lengths over Star Empire. Then Italian Syndicate and Ethan Hunt in 1 minute 16.52 seconds.
We've got a new angle that's working at this meet time and time again here. First time on dirt. Conquest Sure Shot loves the dirt here, wins it 5-1 to kick off this late pick 4.
And we did see Italian Syndicate go out, really shoot out of the gate and outbroke the other potential speed type in Lifelong Dreamer. He dictated on the front end, did go pretty quickly, but I thought that Conquest Sure Shot just absolutely ran him down, and he definitely liked the dirt today, and I think he definitely liked the drop in class, because last time we saw him, he was going against Grade 2 company.
It was a very good move by Kendrick Carmouche on the backstretch. Even though you want to be inside, he moved up because he had the 4 in front of him, and he knew he was kind of dead cover in front of him, and he got outside in the 2 path, and he just smoothly angled him around horses. At the end of the day, Conquest Sure Shot was just much the best.
Right, and as a trainer, the first thought that goes through your head is, I should have claimed that horse, because he actually ran like a horse that's worth a lot more than $25,000. Rated well, as you said, liked the dirt, took the dirt in his face the first time, came around horses, finished up nicely.
This isn't a bad time either. 1:16.2 for at least for this level, and here's the thing, right? The 2 horses that are bred most for the turf, they run 1-2.
No, I agree, and I think he found a vulnerable field, guys.
Looks like it, but he certainly showed that he has a little bit of talent here. First time on this surface. 1-6-5-7. Conquest Sure Shot for Dars Incorporated. Kendrick Carmouche, Brendan Walsh team up for the win. Going to take a break. We'll be back with more Saratoga Live next. Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before. Back on Saratoga Live. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. Kendrick Carmouche, shout out to Cajun Country as he gets the win here in race 7 to kick off this late pick 4 on Conquest Sure Shot. First time on dirt, and he ran in a race that Good Samaritan had run in earlier in his career. Of course, first time on dirt for him. He'd go on to win the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. Conquest Sure Shot returns $12.20. Maggie, I saw Kendrick coming into the track this morning incognito in sunglasses and a baseball cap. He told me he was going to get one today.
Well, he may have been reminiscing for his jockey karaoke. He may have just never got out of costume there. But you're with trainer Brendan Walsh. And Brendan, looking at Conquest Sure Shot, a horse that you picked up from that dispersal sale for Mr. Ross. And what made you think switch him from the turf to the dirt?
You know, we just wanted to give him a bit of a confidence booster, Maggie, and this race came up and it was at a nice level for him. So we took a shot and thankfully we got away with it.
And he finished up pretty nicely, and luckily you got to keep him as well. I mean, is he a horse that you kind of protect and throw in starter allowance company?
I think, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that makes him eligible now, so for sure something like that. And he ran good. I think his class showed today. He had a little bit of class, and that came out of him. So, you know, we're happy.
Well, you've tried Saratoga the past couple years. This year, it's your breakthrough year, that's for sure. You've had some nice horses. I mean, is it just you coming into this meet, having the right kinds and the confidence as well?
I think so, and you know, it's all about learning, and maybe we had to do them year or two coming up here to find the right horses that you need to bring here, but it's all great now, but it's still a tough place to win.
That it is. Well, you've done a job well done as of now, and may the success continue. Congrats.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, guys.
Maggie, thank you. So Conquest Sure Shot rolling on by Italian Syndicate, who set the fractions up front, maybe a little too quick. 21 and change, 44 and change, although he did get to do them by itself. But in the end, Conquest Sure Shot rolls right on by. And he's dirt debut, a winning one for Brendan Walsh and Kendrick Carmouche getting the job done there in race 7. 8th race coming up next, of course, 7 furlongs and an entry-level allowance ahead, and it will be Petrov, who looks like the horse to beat is in this race coming up. He's coming out of 5 straight graded stakes race, including the Woody Stevens 2 starts back at 7 furlongs, finished 4th in that race. But we also have a runner by the name of Divine Interventio for Steve Asmussen, who was beat by Colefront last time out. And Colefront came here to Saratoga last time out and won the Amsterdam. He is undefeated for Todd Pletcher. Of course, we're all playing the Saratoga Showdown. You can play along as well. This is a great opportunity to try and get introduced to the game without risking any of your own money. A free online game. Follow the races today, play along, and you can play for some prizes, including a chance at a 2018 Belmont Stakes prize package valued at $2,000. Go to SaratogaShowdown.com to get involved, or to Naira.com. We are all getting involved as well as I try to hang on to all my papers here as we get set for the 8th race coming up. We'll have the post parade for this 8th coming up in just a few moments. Of course, right across the street, it was the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Earlier this morning, Javier Castellano, the late Garrett Gomez, Triple Crown winning jockey Victor Espinosa, all part of the class of 2017.
And the other filly running a big one, and Kipteville the Bray. Kipteville is let loose, but Goldacova goes through at the rail.
In the late 2000s, few fillies were feared as much as Goldacova.
And what a brilliant filly is this! Goldacova in an awesome effort.
With 3 consecutive victories in the Breeders' Cup Mile, Goldacova was admired by many, including her competition.
The last time we ran against her, I believe it was at Churchill. I think she almost ran over the top of us when she was looking for room and kind of pushed our horse right out of the way. But you know, it takes a pretty strong filly to do that, and what she did, she was had a very quick turn of foot. I mean, she could really haul a mail.
The 2-time Eclipse Award winner dazzled in the States and dominated in Europe as well, winning a total of 11 Group 1 races in France and England. Adaptability and versatility could be used to describe the champion mare. The same could be said about 4-time Eclipse Award winning jockey Javier Castellano. Castellano added another classic win to his heady resume this year, winning his second Preakness aboard Cloud Computing.
Goes alongside. They come to the finish together. Noses apart. Cloud Computing has defeated Classic Empire and the Preakness.
Even in a highly competitive environment, his peers know he belongs among the greats.
Right from the beginning, he had obviously great talent, but very ambitious, wanted to learn, wanted to do things the right way, great personality, and a great jockey. I see him, his career growing so fast and so quick, into right now. But great guy to ride, very respected.
For years, Victor Espinoza has accumulated major Grade 1 victories, but solidified his Hall of Fame induction in 2015.
And here it is. The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown.
In addition to taking down the Triple Crown, he guided both War Emblem and California Chrome to Kentucky Derby and Preakness victories in 2002 and 2014.
You can ask any of these guys that rode with him. He was just, he's one of the ones. He will be remembered as such an elite jockey here 10 or 15 or 20 years from now. It's just special, a special guy and a special rider.
Beginning in 1988, Garrett Gomez built an illustrious career not only from coast to coast, but also on an international level. Gomez won a total of 13 Breeders' Cup races, including the infamous upset of undefeated champion Zenyatta with Blame and the 2010 Breeders' Cup Classic. Gomez will join this year's class of Hall of Fame inductees posthumously.
I had gotten word a couple days before it was announced, and I couldn't be any happier and more proud of. I just wish that he was standing there, because that and the Derby were kind of two of his big goals, and I just wish he was there to accept it.
Well, here's a list of the class of 2017 inducted into the Hall of Fame right across the street here from Saratoga Racetrack earlier today. Goldikova, three-time winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile. Of course, Javier, Victor, the late Garrett Gomez, Go-Go. A lot of tear-filled eyes, I'm sure, with him being inducted into the Hall. Such a tremendous talent. Tom Voss, five-time national steeplechase leader in wins, and Goodnight Shirt in the steeplechase category as well, as we send it downstairs, guys.
Yeah, it was nice hearing the sentiments from Ron Anderson about Garrett Gomez, who of course he worked for as an agent, and they're so genuine, and he was a marvelous rider for sure.
Yeah, you know, Ron's a straight-up guy, if you've ever been able to meet him. Now he is Joel Rosario's agent, and him and Garrett were very, very close. They had a different relationship off the field or off the track, and it was a rocky one because, you know, what Andy alluded to a couple days ago, Garrett dealt with a lot of demons and still sort of rode at the top of the game. And I know Ron meant a lot to him, and to see his name in there, I think he 100% deserves it. I still go back to everybody's still upset that he beat Zenyatta.
I'll never forget that night.
Not everybody. not me. Not even remotely.
So at Churchill Downs, he beats Zenyatta on Blame, and when he comes back to the winner's circle, he actually comes back to booze.
Yeah.
You know, he had the great, maybe one of the greatest victories of Garrett Gomez's career, and everybody was so disappointed that Zenyatta got beat. They clapped for her and not for him.
I cheered for him. I was at Aqueduct, but I was cheering.
You have no soul, though.
You know, Goldikova. Let's give a little love to Goldikova. I do like honoring the racehorses too. I mean, they're the game. And Goldikova, what she accomplished to win 3 straight Breeders' Cup. The great Miesk won 2, and she was an incredible racehorse. What Goldikova did was unbelievable.
You know, you talk about Lure, too, as well. It was a great racehorse, and what Goldikova did was tough to do. And she was the girls playing the boys. Freddie Head did an unbelievable job. The turn of foot that she had, and she took to the American-style turf. A little bit harder was better for her.
You know, in the American-style turf, if she had been here all year in one of those 3 years, because she won the Breeders' Cup Mile 3 years in a row, if she had based out of the United States, I think she would have been in discussion for Horse of the Year.
She was an incredible racehorse, Greg.
Incredible indeed. 3 Breeders' Cup Mile wins. Andy might not have been sad about that victory by Blame over Zenyatta, but even Garrett Gomez, after the win, he apologized to Mike Smith and the Connections. He felt bad about it himself. That's how much of a class act Garrett Gomez was. We're going to take a break in the action. Still to come, more from today's Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Triple Crown winning jockey Victor Espinosa enshrined across the street.
They're off in New York, the premier state bred program in the United States. When you own a New York bred, your horse can run for more than $44 million in purses, restricted to registered New York breds. And the New York program pays awards to breeders, owners, and stallion owners when their New York breds finish first, second, or third at New York tracks. We have the quality.
Coda, they won't catch Monin. Monin wins the February Stakes.
You have the opportunity. New York breds, get with the program. The best program.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
I introduce to you Hall of Famer Victor Espinosa.
And then I started winning races, and I moved to San Francisco. And I did not speak English. I was really hard for me because my language, I only speak Spanish. But in the way, it was easy because every race that I ride, I want to win. I think in my mind, if I win, I don't have to explain to the trainers what happens, right? Because if I lose, I had to explain it to them why I lose a race. So after where I'm low, we never win the Kentucky Derby, Buffalo, and it took probably a decade. Finally, he realized that his luck has to change. So we had to team up again. And he put me one of his best horses ever. One of the best horses I ever rode, American Pharoah. Brilliant.
Hall of Fame moment for jockey Victor Espinosa, one of only 10 jockeys to win the Kentucky Derby 3 times or more, and of course, completing the Triple Crown finally after coming so close a couple of times with War Emblem, California Chrome, winning the first 2 legs, not able to complete it, but getting it done with American Pharoah after a 37-year drought in the sport. What a moment for Victor Espinosa. Over 3,000 wins in his career, 17th all-time in earnings, which are approaching $200 million. Of course, the regular rider of Triple Crown winner American Pharoah, Victor Espinosa, now in the Racing Hall of Fame for the rest of his life. And of course, it is right across the street from the racetrack. It was founded in 1950. It stands to honor all achievements from jockeys, trainers, and the horses themselves. And if you can get an opportunity to get in there and spend a day or even just a few hours at the Racing Hall of Fame, it is a great way to get introduced to the sport and learn about the history of horse racing. Race 8 coming up next. 15 minutes to post here in this 7-furlong event, an entry-level allowance. And it is portfolio manager, I should say, for trainer Chad Brown, who right now is the 3-1 favorite on the board. Beat a half length on a track that was labeled muddy last start. That was a race that was scheduled for the grass that was taken off. Right next door, we mentioned Divine Interventio for Steve Asmussen, beat by Cole Front, who would come back to win the Amsterdam here at Saratoga. And Nick Zito sends out Lenstar. Blinkers come off on the outside. With more on this field, let's send it down to the paddock with Maggie.
Thanks, Greg. Well, standing here next to previous jockey Abel Castellano, it's a big day for the Castellano family. Of course, your older brother Javier Castellano being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Your thoughts and emotions overall today?
Yeah, I feel very happy. I mean, we're extremely happy because the family, Javier, even goes to the Hall of Fame. And I think today is one of the biggest days for our Castellano family, and we're so happy and we're so proud of him, Javier.
Now, Abel, you have won and ridden a lot of races before. Have you ever actually ridden here at Saratoga?
Yes, I did. Actually, I won races here too. I won 2 races in Saratoga before, and this is a spot. I love this Saratoga.
Well, I know you've never trained a horse here at Saratoga, so you're making your debut. What's the emotions? Any difference training a horse and riding here?
Yeah, totally different. I think it's a little more, I would say, a lot of more work, and I'm happy because I want to be around the horses. So I think it's the first time me to bring a horse out to Saratoga. So yes, I'm kind of very nervous, but at the same time happy because the day that we have so far.
Well, best of luck here, Abel. I think you have to go give another jockey a leg up.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Thank you, Gabby.
All right, and for a deeper look at this race, we'll head over to Andy and the crew on the desk.
I tell you, this is a really exciting race. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. You do want to start with Petrov, who may be the favorite. If you look at the 4, the 9, the 10, the 11, they're very similar price to the double. Do you trust Petrov to get it done turning back in distance?
He's a tough trust, and when you look at his races, has he been running against the best horses in this group? Yes, he has. It was his Woody Stevens race. Okay, I thought it was. You know, American Anthems just sort of ran away from that group. Giuseppe the Great was okay. You know what I don't like about this horse? He holds his head high. He's got 1 win. But when he comes in stretch and he sort of gets around horses, he sort of starts balking a little bit. That's my worry.
Let me give you some information that might make his case a little bit better. So Petrov has another 4 babies in his family, in that first family. None of them won going further than 6 furlongs. So he's been up against it in these route races. This turn back, and when you look at some of his other races in these turnbacks, whether it be the Woody Stevens, where he ran against Giuseppe the Great, who was second in the Jim Dandy, or Recruiting Ready, who's a multiple stakes winner, those are very, very good horses, better than the horses in here. And you can go back to his King Swan, 6 furlongs. Even Thunder was second in the Grade 3 Braidshore. So he's faced really good horses at 1 turn. I like him at this distance turning back.
I agree that he's very much a better sprinter, and he's running a lot of wrong races, but I do want to say that Ron McQuett, is 4 for 66 with $1.37 over the last 5 years at Saratoga. He has not delivered here the way he delivers out of town. Now, a couple other horses to talk about. Both Portfolio Manager and Divine Interventio come out of the same race back at Belmont. We'll take a look at that race and see him around the turn. They both finished together basically at the wire. Divine Interventio, because of his lack of speed, he's compromised in races and it beats him over and over again. Portfolio Manager can be much closer to the pace. I think Portfolio Manager will benefit from getting on a dry track after 2 straight wet tracks.
Yeah, confusing, because when you look at this race, I thought the 10, Divine Interventio, is better than Portfolio Manager on this day. But you make a great point. You go back, this is sort of the same race that Divine Interventio runs at each time. Portfolio Manager, he's had layoffs and lines in his thing that he might be a little bit fitter today.
Yeah, and let's stay on the 10 for a second. Divine Interventio, we have no pace today. He needs pace.
I agree with that as we go out to the paddock and get much more.
And riders are up here in the paddocks. We'll take a look at number 4. That is Petrov, who returns back to a sprint distance, gets a little class relief too. And while he's not the most intimidating type, I must say that he's a smaller, handier built horse. So the 7 furlongs to me looks to be more ideal, though I'm slightly underwhelmed with him here in the paddock, considering he's going to be a short price. One that I'm overwhelmed with is number 2 in here. That is Cavill, who will go off a bit of a layoff here for trainer Karen McLaughlin, who's already has 2 wins on the card. We'll see if he can pull that hat trick, as he looks fantastic. He looks fit, he looks strong, and I don't mind the turn back with him. He's one of those kind of stockier built types of horses, so he's okay going this 7/8. And then finally, number 9, Portfolio Manager. Boy, he's had a lot of stops and starts in his career, but each and every time he comes over here for Chad Brown, he looks fit, he looks ready to go. It's just a matter of him kind of putting himself in the race. I'd like to see him kind of involved a little earlier than having to depend on the pace coming back to him, as we have horses hitting the track here, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Well, the post parade here coming up momentarily. Crowd enjoying a tremendous Friday afternoon here and getting set for a big, big weekend to come. Of course, we have the Whitney on the weekend, Gun Runner back in action. And for those that will be tuning in to us a little bit earlier, don't forget we're on early on Saturday. Tune in at 2:30 for Saratoga Live. Here comes our post parade for race 8. Our second leg of this pick 4 will start with Silver Assault for trainer Bill Mott. Manny Franco aboard, comes in from Northern California.
From Manuel Franco, and horse that's off a layoff. You know, tough to gauge. He's been running behind California Diamond, who's an average California bred out there.
Cavill is the 2, trained by Karen McLaughlin, sent out by Godolphin Racing with John Velasquez.
This is a horse that's been freshened and shortening up, and a formula that has worked very well for this barn.
Cowboys Hero, the 3, a 2014 Fasig Tipton July sales grad. And this is the Abel Castellano horse with Paco Lopez.
Already away from the pony, which means they're going to probably warm him up very aggressively. He's going to try to get to the front end. He wired a weaker field at Delaware last time.
Petrov is the 4, Jose Ortiz for Ron Moquet.
Yeah, look, here's another one that's shortening up. He's making a significant class drop. I think a major player in this race.
Gray Sky is the 5 4-year-old son of Tappet for D. Wayne Lucas, who already has a couple of wins at the meet. Joel Rosario rides.
I think he's got a shot here at 11-1, but not to win. He's 0 for 18 the last 2 years, but maybe use him in your exotics.
Vincento, sent out by Vincent Scuderi. Angel Arroyo for Rudy Rodriguez.
This is a horse that's been running in these kind of races. He finishes middle of the pack every time. He must improve to be a player today.
Chad Brown, campaigns portfolio manager for Klarovich Stables. William Lawrence with Javier Castellano.
A horse that, you know, has had some issues, has not been able to string races together, and again is going to be off a layoff since May, but is a player in here.
Divine Interventio, a 2014 Fasig Tipton Saratoga Select Yearling graduate, trained by Steve Asmussen with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
Yeah, he's been right there in these types of races, and he faced a very good horse in his last start.
And Lenstar rounds out this field here. Blinkers come off for trainer Nick Zito, My Meadowview Farm, and Luis Saez.
This is a horse that has a ton of speed. I think Nick's trying to take the blinkers off to get him to relax. You look way back in November 12th, he had an 8-length lead on Petrov the 4, and then he got run down.
And he'll shorten up in distance. He had gone 1 1/16, talking about the 11 Lenstar the last couple of starts, including the long branch guys at Monmouth. And you see that bullet drill coming in. Where do you expect to see Lenstar in this race?
I expect him to see him either stalking the 3-horse that Paul mentioned would have speed or actually in front. Nick Zito's not afraid of speed. He's sneaky good with blinker off moves. I actually like this horse. And Nick deserves a win with this horse because he had a race last year he was going to win late in the meet, and the horse got completely left, Tom.
I think the training pattern here suggests, with the blinkers off and coming off these routes, Andy, that maybe he wants to sit off a little bit. I like the stalking position from the outside in a race that I think really lacks speed, and that's what really concerns me with some of these favorites.
I just don't know if he can stalk. You look at this race. I mean, the race at Churchill Downs, the horse was a legit bobble at the start and went 21 and change. I just don't know if the blinkers coming off this horse is going to slow him down.
Well, remember, 21 and 4 at Churchill, 6 furlongs is like 22 and 3 here with the long run up, but he has a lot of speed. I think it's a question of what the 3 does. You know, the great thing about breaking from an outside post is you can see what the others do and go from there. If nobody wants to go, he'll just clear off the lead. If somebody else does, he'll be in a stalking position.
Yeah, and with the 3, you wonder why Abel Castellano, why he couldn't get his brother to ride. Well, of course, Javier on board for Chad Brown and Klarovich Stables.
Yeah, Javier's gonna stick in those situations for sure. I think as much as family ties matter, I think Chad Brown might get him in the winner's circle a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the 9 portfolio manager, and we watched that replay just now, you're looking at a horse that waited as long as he possibly could to make his final move in the race. He gets out finished by Divine Interventio. Of course, Divine Interventio, you might even classify him as a lazy horse, the 10 horse, because when he leaves the gate, he is urged and doesn't go anywhere early. In today's race, I got to go back to it. The scratch of the 7 horse, Pocket Square, who I thought was going to be the speed in this race, it makes for a very, very tough race for some of our favorites. I'm including the 9 portfolio manager and the 10 Divine Interventio.
Do you guys think the 2 Cavill, a horse who's run against some tougher horses, do you see him more forwardly placed in this race?
Well, he's live on the board for Godolphin Blue. The race, the off-the-turf event, I went back and looked at that field. A lot of the horses stayed in that race, and he crushed. The last 2 are confusing because the Sonic Mule race was weak. Obviously, the Gunnevera, Classic Empire, and Irish War Cry, the Holy Bull was a solid field.
But that formula for McLaughlin, freshening up his horses, shortening up in distance, it's worked like magic here.
We saw the same thing happen with Takafa on opening day, Greg.
Yeah, we did. That was a big win from Takafa, and Kieran having a tremendous meet, winning at 36%. So he's making all the right moves as we look at long shot Vincento right there for Rudy Rodriguez. He's going to slighten up just shortly from a mile to 7/8 this afternoon. Wide open. 8th race coming up. And, of course, coming up this weekend, Gunrunner back in action off his Stephen Foster romp in the Grade 1 Whitney. We'll preview it next.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
Eclipse Award-winning Songbird was bought at Saratoga Fasig-Tipton. Where will you be this August?
Eclipse champion Stellar Wind is a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga grad. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Welcome to Saratoga Live. It was the Hall of Fame inductions earlier this morning across the street from Saratoga Racetrack at the Racing Hall of Fame. Victor Espinosa, the late Garrett Gomez, and Javier Castellano among those in the 2017 class. We'll have more on that coming up a little bit later on in the show. Welcome to those just joining us on Altitude Network. Good to have you with us. Getting set for race 8 here coming up. An entry-level allowance here at 7/8 of a mile. The show presented by Claiborne. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Greg Wolf alongside Andy Serling, Tom Amos, Paul LaDuca, Maggie Wolfendale, and of course Gabby Gaudet, who has more here on the 8th.
Greg, I did a couple different trainers in this.
Oh, my IFB went out. I can't hear her, guys.
Apologize for those technical difficulties. We'll try and get back to Gabby. We got a little wind picking up here this afternoon that's wreaking a little bit of havoc with the equipment. As you take a look here at Divine Interventio, 4-1 on the board. Steve Asmussen, runner, mentioned that third against Colefront last time out, who would come back to win the Amsterdam here at this meet at Saratoga last week. Major player, obviously, here in this race. To his outside, the 11 Lens Star, going to be much more forwardly placed. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Out here on the track, standing right by the chute where the horses will break for this 7/8 contest, Greg, and taking a look at a horse who has gotten a big warm-up. Jose Ortiz has not stopped with number 4 Petrov. So I'm thinking that since he's turning back in distance, Jose is saying, hey, wake up, buddy. We're back in a sprint race. We need to be forwardly placed in here. And I think this horse does have enough gate speed to put him in the mix. I mean, obviously this race is devoid of speed, and I think Jose Ortiz has that in his mind, and he's going to try to capitalize on that. Another horse that looks fantastic to me, coming off of a long layoff, is number 1 Silver Assault, who will go out for Bill Mott for the first time. A horse that spent most of his career, all of his career, in fact, California. But going back and watching his replays and kind of comparing him to the horses he ran with, he just looked small and slight. Today, he's big and strong. He's certainly grown up. He looks fit. He looks sharp for this return. I think he's a little bit interesting at a price. As horses are approaching the gate, we'll get it back to Andy.
Yeah, you know, this is such a fascinating race. There's really a lot going on. We didn't even really talk about the 1 Silver Assault. You look at him. As a 2-year-old, he was running figures in the high 70s early in his career. He goes to Bill Mott. Is this horse entirely impossible?
Well, he's not. You know, Chasing Aces is an okay Peter Miller runner. Like I said, California Diamond strung together a nice little winning streak. He's a nice little Calbred. You know, the West Coast horses, when it comes to turf, they struggle this way. When it's dirt, they do well.
I have no problem with the 1 Silver Assault, and a horse that I think we haven't talked about as a potential pace setter as well in this race. He could go to the front early. Blinkers on in his last start for Hollendorfer. Mott keeps those blinkers on after the layoff. His first start for Bill Mott. A horse that could be a player in this spot for sure.
Yeah, I just think he's an interesting horse to mention. I mean, this race has, Greg, an enormous amount of depth to it.
Great storylines with each and every runner up and down the list. And here, as you see Silver Assault move in line, Tom brings up a good point in here. Showed California speed in his debut sprinting back when he was a 2-year-old. We'll see. This will be the 3-year-old debut for Silver Assault as he moves to the Bill Mott barn. Haven't seen him since he raced on synthetic at Golden Gate back in November in his 2-year-old campaign. We're all set, loading up here for race 8. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing, Larry Colmus, for the call.
Just a couple more to go into the starting gate now. Divine Interventio is coming forward, and Len Star will complete the line here. Wide open affair, 5-2 right now on Petrov. They're all in line, ready for a start. They're off. And Petrov comes out running well. Vincento, and on the far outside, it is Len Star with early speed too. And Cowboys Hero fires through on the inside. Cowboys Hero and Len Star now take the lead up the backstretch. These two with Petrov right behind, and then comes Silver Assault on the inside. Cavill is 5th after a bit of a slow start, splitting horses 4 lengths off the lead. First quarter, 22.79 seconds. Portfolio Manager is 5.5 lengths from the front, then Vincento and Gray Sky, and Divine Interventio is at the back of the pack. There's a half mile to run, and as they move into the turn, Cowboys Hero leads Len Star by a half a length. Petrov is third and on the move on the outside now, coming up to the leaders while going 3 wide on the turn. It's 2.5 lengths back to Cavill, then Portfolio Manager, followed on the inside by Silver Assault. Gray Sky is next, and then Vincento, and still at the back is Divine Intervencio as Petrov comes wide for the stretch run. Petrov takes the lead as they come inside the final furlong. Len Star, Cowboys Hero to the inside. Cavill is next, Portfolio Manager on the far outside, and Gray Sky, but it's Petrov. Petrov by the 16th pole, all alone, and finishing strong. Petrov and Jose Ortiz by almost 5. And then it was Gray Sky, followed by Len Star, and it was close for 4th. The final time was 1 minute 21.57 seconds.
Yeah, that is a sharp final time. No question who was best in this race. It was all Petrov, and look who gets second in here, Dwayne Lucas. But guys, Petrov, class prevails.
Yeah, and Maggie pointed out Jose Ortiz working him out hard before the start to get him more in position. He absolutely galloped in here.
So those guys, the Ortiz brothers, they are students of the game. They look at this form just like we do. They saw there's no speed in the race. Jose knew exactly what he needed to do to put Petrov in the game early. After the first quarter of a mile, you knew either Petrov was going to win or he just wasn't going to run his race today.
Well, he likes to finish. I mean, that's the one thing you were not worried about with him, is that he was going to be able to finish. And we go back to the start, and Andy talks about it. He broke very sharply, and he just laid in a perfect position. Not a bad start for everybody else. The 3, Cowboys Hero, who did end up showing speed, went to his knees early, and the 2 might have been compromised, but there was just no doubt the 4 won the race at the break.
Yeah, check out how confident Jose Ortiz is early in the race. He breaks well, and he moves him immediately outside. He's willing to lose all the ground into the turn to be about 4 or 5 wide going to that turn because he knows he's got a ton of horse.
Yeah, no question, Greg. Jose Ortiz is a prepared rider.
He is absolutely prepared. He is at the top of his game right now. 2 wins today for Jose, and he is with Maggie.
And here with Jose Ortiz. Greg, thank you. As Petrov, he proved to be best. And Jose, you said the class drop and the distance helped this horse today.
Of course, yeah. He was running against way much tougher competition, and the 7 furlong is perfect for him. I think the mile and 16 mile and 8 a little bit too long for him.
And I watched you as you were warming him up, and you gave him a big warm-up. Was that in your head that this race didn't have much speed? You had to capitalize on that?
I mean, he's been running long, so I want to get a good warm-up on him, and Ron also told me to warm him up really good, so I just followed the instructions.
And Jose, do you think he's a horse that Ron will hopefully keep at shorter distances given this performance today? 1:21 and change, a good time.
I think so. I think so.
Jose, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, the gray Petrov gets it done.
Maggie, thank you. Yeah, Petrov, nice victory. That's just the 2nd win of his career. He had been, ever since he won his debut, thrown against deep competition. So finally gets a little class relief, and then you can see what he does against lesser competition. Very strong performance from Petrov. Again, 1:21.2, the final time here in race 8. Bricks and mortar, he is undefeated for trainer Chad Brown. He was the best of the bunch in the Manila. He'll face Big Handsome and Secretary of War once again in the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. The feature coming up next.
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 1:08 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record-breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new Naira Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish from a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. Naira Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download Naira Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
The world's #1 sire of 2-year-olds, Warfront, continues to command top prices with yearlings this year, bringing up to $1.9 million. On the track, Warfront has sired recent Grade 1 winner Avenge, Grade 1 victress Brave Anna, and graded stakes winning juveniles in France, England, and Ireland, Roly Poly, War Decree, and Intelligence Cross. A leading sire on all fronts, from Paris, Kentucky to Paris, France, Claiborne Farms, Warfront.
Back on Saratoga Live, Jose Ortiz. He was a finalist for Outstanding Jockey last year. Maybe this is the year that he gets it done. 2 wins today for him on the Saratoga card, and Petrov, coming out of 5 consecutive graded stakes, drops in class and gets the win. Ron Moquette, your winning trainer. Let's go to Gabby for more.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, standing side by side to Ron Moquette. And Ron, looking at the Iowa Derby last time out and going into today's race, did you kind of regroup after that and think, all right, we got to get this horse back in distance?
Well, the Iowa Derby was a head scratcher for us. We thought he'd run better, and then, you know, whenever we start to reevaluate, we always back up and do things that he's been successful at, and so we thought we'd start with square one, and today's square one was good.
And looking at before the race, Jose Ortiz gave him a good warm-up. Did you want him to be a little bit more forwardly placed? Did the plan work out today?
I told Jose to get comfortable with him, make sure that he's on the muscle and understands that he's going 1 turn instead of 2, and he did, so I was happy.
And moving forward, I mean, this is a very nice 3-year-old. He's really defeated, or he's gone against some of the best in his group. Moving forward, what do you do with him?
You know, we're going to say the cliche thing. We're going back to the barn and play with him, and then we'll let him tell us where to go.
All right, well, your phone's been buzzing. I think you have a couple of phone calls to answer, but congratulations here, Ron.
Thank you very much.
All right, back to you, Greg.
Thank you, Gabby. Maybe he has a couple of offers, too, after a performance like that. That was big time from Petrov. Can't wait to see where he comes back in his next spot. He's got a good one there. Finally back into the winner's circle. It's been a while, but again, he was tackling top competition, having been on the Derby Trail earlier this year. Our feature coming up next, Grade 2, National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame, and the top 3 finishers from the Manila. Back in action, Bricks and Mortar, Big Handsome, Secretary of War, and they have some talented company joining them as well, including Yoshida for Bill Mott, who ran 5th in that Grade 1 Belmont Derby. But right now it is Big Handsome. Wow, who was your favorite for Tony Dutrow? Today, you can hit the trifecta on your mobile device in the National Racing Museum Hall of Fame Stakes and earn a 10% winner's bonus. Check back tomorrow because Naira Bets offers this trifecta winner's bonus on a Saratoga Stakes race every single day of the meet. See the full list of stakes and bet Saratoga Racing nationwide at NairaBets.com. It's the official betting site for Saratoga Racecourse. Of course, you can get signed up and started with Naira Bets all across the country. Bet over 200 racetracks nationwide. If you bet 200, you'll get 200 in your account if you use that promo code PICK5. Go to NairaBets.com to get signed up and started and play along from home at the nation's best racetracks. We're going to take a break in the action. When we come back on Saratoga Live, Gunrunner, one of the top thoroughbreds in the entire country. He is eyeing a win in the Grade 1 Whitney, and the target squarely on his back. He's the horse to beat. We'll preview it when we come back.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
We found Belmont Stakes winner Taprit at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga. Where will you be in August?
Before Tepin conquered the world, she was a Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sales graduate. Where will you be this August?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, and all the Grade 1 winners from last year's meets around that fountain at the entrance to the clubhouse. Shaman Ghost, of course, won the Woodward here last year. He was defeated last time out in the Suburban by Keen Ice, who is going to be going toe-to-toe with Gunrunner coming up at the Whitney. Of course, the New York Racing Association has continued to expand its Spanish-language broadcast availability. Luis Grandison provides race-by-race calls and pre-race analysis. You can find it on the Naira Now app. Here's Luis on the call from earlier today with the 5th race that included 5 stakes winners.
Tratando de cerrar, Kenwood Duyagura mantiene 8 largo, Catapluma viene avanzando en embalaje, Kenwood Duyagura 4 largo, Cataplum viene avanzando, Kenwood Duyagura se ha agotado, Cataplum viene avanzando, Catapluma va pasando de viaje, Catapluma, Kenwood Duyagura, tercero está arribando, Night Pro Lair, de cuarto está finalizando Forge.
That was Catapult with the win, and a loaded race from earlier today, and a nice moment there because the man who was just inducted into the Hall of Fame, Javier Castellano, aboard for that victory, getting a win on Hall of Fame ceremony afternoon. Of course, you saw that statue of Shaman Ghost, who won the Woodward here last year. He was just defeated as one of the top handicap horses in the entire country last time out, as I mentioned, by Keen Ice, who was one of the main contenders for the Grade 1 Whitney on Saturday. Of course, the horse to beat, however, that is Gunrunner.
This Saturday's 90th running of the Grade 1 Whitney features a return to Saratoga of one of the top-rated thoroughbreds in the world and multiple Grade 1 winner gun runner. If there was any concern about how he'd return from his trip to Dubai, he put those questions to rest in the Stephen Foster.
And gun runner with gusto in the Stephen Foster wins for fun. 5 in the end.
Keen Ice vaulted back into the spotlight with his upset performance over one of the leaders of the handicap division, Shaman Ghost, in the Suburban.
Keen Ice by the 16th pole clear. Shaman Ghost left behind, and look at him run away. Keen Ice.
He returns to Saratoga, where he scored one of the greatest upsets this century when he defeated Triple Crown winner American Pharaoh in the Travers 2 years ago.
And here on the far outside comes Keen Ice with a late threat. American Pharaoh put away Frosted. He has to deal with Keen Ice. Keen Ice has got him. Keen Ice has won the Travers.
After chasing Arrogate to no avail to start off 2017, War Story returned to New York in June and enters the Whitney off one of the most impressive wins of his career in the Brooklyn at 1.5 miles.
War Story has taken the lead under Javier Castellano, and they're pulling away late. It is War Story, indefatigable, in the Brooklyn.
Two Brutus will try and score the upset for trainer Gary Contessa. The Chilean bred scored in his second start in the U.S., winning the flat-out stakes by 11 lengths.
And they have turned this into a romp. Two Brutus, the flat-out winner.
It's a compact but competitive field in this year's Whitney, but there's no doubt the race goes through Gunrunner. Here's a look at the field for the 90th running of the historic Whitney. Grade 1, $1.2 million purse at 1.125 miles, and Gunrunner at 4 to 5 for trainer Steve Asmussen. And Andy, of course, Gunrunner, he is absolutely the horse to beat, and he has just gotten tremendously better as a 4-year-old.
He has. I can't even fool Tom Amos into giving me 4 to 5 on him. He really is. He drew very favorably in this race, drawing outside the other speed. You've got the Rabbit Cautious Giant. You've got the 4-2 Bruce with speed. He will have to show he can be as good as he's been, though, rating.
Yeah, and let's think about that for a second, Paul, because when he was a 3-year-old, he was a horse that they were trying to rate as they knew they were going to go further distance in the Kentucky Derby. And after his 3-year-old season, they said, to heck with this. We're going to let him be what he wants to be. He's a better front-end horse, right?
I think he is a better front-end horse. But see, the problem is when you're trying to rate against horses like Arrogate that are just going away from you, if you look at some of his races, I do think he's better on the front end. But you make a great point, Andy. I think the draw is giant for him because then he can see how everything develops in front of him.
The worst thing would have been if he drew between those horses. There were 2 posts left, the 4 and 6. Obviously, Steve Asmussen got the post that he wanted in here. One small worry. There is some possibility of some storms early tomorrow. Now, they end well before the races start. I'm going to assume they're going to seal the racetrack and we'll have a fast racetrack, maybe even probably even for the start of the day, even if we get a little bit of rain. But a wet track could be an Achilles heel for this horse. He does not run well on wet tracks.
But the forecast and what they do with racetracks when they know rain is coming suggests that we'll have a very fair and a good track for Gunrunner.
And if you're going to get some rain, it would benefit War Story. I mean, believe it or not. Mr. Luch is bringing in his Rabbit. I just don't think he's good enough to beat the likes of Keen Ice or the likes of a horse like Gunrunner for me. But if it does rain, he does have 2 good efforts over it.
Well, Tom, you've trained for Ron Paolucci, who owns War Story. You got any good stories you want to share with us?
Not only have I trained for him, I trained War Story at one time. So
before he got good?
There's 7 trainers on the past performance of War Story in the last year. That doesn't go back to my time with War Story.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Has he not surprised you a little bit? Did you not think he was a better one-turn horse? And he actually ran well in the Brooklyn.
He's having his best year, and one of the things I notice about War Story is that he moves across the ground very, very well. He didn't always do that when I had him.
How about Keen Ice? Can he pull another big upset at Saratoga?
I don't see it. Keen Ice, 3 for 22. Besides his maiden win, his other 2 wins are the Grade 1 Travers and the Grade 2 he just won. He's a plotter. I don't mean to say that as a knock, but that's what he is. He's a plotter, and he needs races to set up. If he's going to have a chance for a setup, then maybe tomorrow's Whitney is the one he'll get that setup in because they're going to go fast.
Well, he got an assist from Frosted. Still to this day, he got the ultimate assist from Frosted, but you can't take anything away from him. but he's got a couple other races that are not bad. The Pegasus that he ran was not awful. He broke slow. He was really the only one that made up any ground. And here's the other part about this. We always talk about Dubai knocks horses out. That's what makes Keen Ice so, I guess, the wild card horse, because you never know when he's going to fire. These kind of horses always run bad off that Dubai bounce. He comes back and he beats Shaman Ghost.
Yeah, and he ran well last time to do it. He was able to get close to the slow pace. Shaman Ghost did not run his race in there. Poor American Pharaoh. He actually was forced to run a sub-24 quarter once in his career, and he lost. It's really a tragedy.
Andy will just never, ever let that go. Not holding American Pharaoh, who Victor Espinosa, who was just inducted in the Hall of Fame, called the greatest horse he has ever been aboard. TV coverage of the Whitney you can see on NBC from 5 to 6 Eastern tomorrow, along with the test stakes. But you can catch Saratoga live preceding that on Fox Sports 2 and MSG+. Join us at a special early time on Whitney Day, 2:30 to 5 Eastern time. Saratoga Live. So be sure and notate that. We'll see you a little bit earlier than usual tomorrow here at Saratoga. We are 14 minutes away here from our featured Grade 2 Hall of Fame coming up. And with more on this group, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Greg, one thing I can tell you for sure, there's certainly more people than horses here in the paddock for today's featured Grade 2 Hall of Fame. As we'll look at some horses that I know it's not a beauty contest, but they're just horses that caught my eye that might be able to outrun their odds. And one that legitimately has a shot as well is number 5 in here. That is Snap Decision for Hall of Famer Shug McGahee. And I have never seen this horse look this good. He looks sensational. He's feeling good. He comes in here with a win back at Belmont. Jose Ortiz gets aboard here today. I find that a bit interesting. He's back on him. And obviously, Jose is just riding with the utmost confidence. And I really liked what I've seen from Snap Decision here in the paddock for his second try against Greatest Stakes Company. Next, we'll move on to number 9. That is Secretary at War. And let's be honest, he's not posted great for his running style. He's a horse that he does his best running when he is up on the engine, kind of freewheeling it. And I like what I see from him physically. He's sharp, but he's controlled, so that's a good thing. He's not expending too much energy. If he can find a way to work out some trip, he certainly looks up to the task if he can set the pace. Moving on to one that'll be a big price. That's number 8, Parlor, as he comes off of a very visually impressive win. Granted, he was a heavy favorite that day, so he should have made work of that field, that's for sure. But he just looked good doing it. I love the way he moved. He's extremely classy acting here in the paddock for trainer Eddie Keneally. And just one, like I said, that might be able to outrun his odds as we have horses ready here, Greg.
You know, looking at these horses, I know one thing. I'll be wrong about a lot of stuff, but I won't be wrong about this. If Big Handsome breaks cleanly, he is a cinch to be in front. They are never going to rate him going 1 1/16 around 2 turns. They tried it last time. He got into trouble. He will be in front, and he will be controlling it. The question is whether he can get it.
Yeah, get it, because he's never gone 2 turns, Andy. All of his races are 1-turn races. So when that first turn comes up on this turf course, a turf course that's going to be sharper turns than what he's faced as Belmont, how does a horse like the 2 Big Handsome handle that? Can he make the turns well? Is he a horse that's going to have trouble? He's never negotiated that first turn before.
There's disagreement here. You like him a lot.
Well, I love this horse because the reason why is I think he pushes from the inside. You know what? Secretary of War had everything his own way last time, and, you know, Big Handsome had all kinds of trouble and still beat him. So for me, I think Castellano pushes towards the front end, tries to quicken the pace, maybe spread out those 2 horses, and then take him to the outside, turn it into a 2-horse race. Because if I'm Javier Castellano, I know I'm going to have the measure of the 9 in here.
Yeah, look, I agree with what Paul is saying. And in that last race, something happened that you rarely see. Javier Castellano got owned by the 4-horse Holiday Stone, and he had to try to go everywhere down the lane. The 4-horse just blocked him the whole way.
I wonder if he was riding to instructions, but the instructions here have to be on the lead. I don't think he's getting the job done at 1 1/16. A talented horse. I think he's much, much better as a sprinter. The 1 Bricks and Mortar to me is way too big a price in this race. We talked about it before, Tom. Yes, Big Handsome got in trouble and he could have won. But this horse, great ride or not, overcame a very slow pace. I think he's going to be very tough to beat today.
Yeah, and you've got to take that into consideration when you're looking at a race. When a horse can overcome things, really give everybody a head start and still beat those horses, That is big.
A lot of try in his last race. Again, if you watch that race, it's about the 8th pole. Now watch on the inside. Big Handsome is on the rail. If you look, Bricks and Mortar is going to follow where Javier Castellano is going to go. Castellano goes to the rail. What ends up happening, Joel Rosario makes a split decision, swings the outside. Never looks like he's going to win this race to about right here, Andy.
This was an incredible finish by this horse in a race that had a slow pace, and they were running at the end. He was flying, but he, too, has to pass the 2-turn test.
Post parade coming up. It's brought to you by OCD Pellets, celebrating their 10th anniversary of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, go to OCDpellets.com. We kick things off with Bricks and Mortar for Klarovich Stables. William Lawrence, Joel Rosario aboard for Chad Brown.
I spoke incorrectly. He won at 2 turns in his debut at Gulfstream Park. I think he's a massive overlay, sits a good trip, and gets it done again to stay undefeated.
Javier Castellano aboard. Big Handsome for Tony Dutrow for Head of Plains Partners.
Might have been a little unlucky to win his last race. I'm wondering if he goes towards the front end today. Pretty sharp horse at 5-2.
And Head of Plains Partners and Windstar Farm send out Yoshida for trainer Bill Mott with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yoshida's a horse that's cutting back from a good race in the Belmont Derby. You look at his one race in the J.W. Murphy, complete opposite. This horse has won on the front end and won from 20-some-odd lengths behind, so very versatile.
Hall of Famer Shug McGahee, Phipps Stable, and Jose Ortiz team up with a 5-snap decision.
He beat a much weaker field last time, but he's been constantly victimized by slow paces. He gets a little more pace today, and I think he's going to outrun his odds.
Here's Macarios on a Giants Causeway for trainer Nick Zito. Luis Saez aboard for Masarosa.
Long shot playing here. His last 2 races have been too far for him. His Transylvania run behind a decent runner and big score, he was rolling. I think the distance will help him today.
Bonus points is the 7 for trainer Todd Pletcher, sent out by 3 Diamonds Farm with Kendrick Carmouche. Blinkers go on.
I think in their back of their minds, these connections were hoping it rained and the race came off the turf. He has never run fast enough to be a contender in the turf.
Here's Parlor for trainer Eddie Keneally. Comes in from Churchill Downs, Anderson Stables, and Julian Leperoux aboard.
Right on that morning line of 15-1 to 16-1. The thing you have to like about this colt, he's won in 3 different turf courses. So you got to give him a little bit for that.
Secretary at War, he was 3rd in that Manila behind Bricks and Mortar and Big Handsome. He's sent out by Jimmy Jerkins for Allen Stable with John Velasquez.
He set a crawling pace that day and still couldn't win. He's not getting the lead today, and he's not getting any piece of the action.
Arklow will finish things out here. Florent Giroux aboard for trainer Brad Cox and Donegal Racing.
I was on the Derby trail and then decided to go on the turf and won the American turf. His Belmont Derby was confusing. He was 2nd choice that day, did not fire. Don't know what to do with him at 6-1.
That is your field for the Grade 2 Hall of Fame. The rematch between the top 3 finishers in the Manila. 3 come out of the Belmont Derby as well. This is a loaded group of 3-year-olds on the turf. We'll have it next.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
We are back here on Saratoga Live on this Friday afternoon here on Fox Sports 2, MSG Plus, and Altitude Networks. Our feature coming up, 33rd running of the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame at 1 1/16 on the turf. Big Handsome, he made a surface switch 4 starts ago. He was a perfect 3 for 3 heading into the Manila last start, where he was an odds-on favorite, but he suffered the first defeat on turf of his career. Can he get back on track? Let's go to Gabby for more.
Thanks, Greg. Well, I did get the chance to speak to several trainers who will be sending out some contenders in this race, and one of them was Tony Dutrow, who will be sending out Big Handsome. And we were talking about him and his performance in the Manila, and I asked him, was the plan to rate going into the race? And he said, honestly, he thought it was a no-brainer that this horse would make the lead that day. That was not the plan going into the Manila, and it is definitely not the plan going into the Hall of Fame stakes here today. So we can see this horse maybe forwardly placed, and they're probably going to have a little bit of an edge with an inside post position over the other likely speed in Secretary at War. So I think we'll see this horse on the lead today. I also got the chance to speak to trainer Bill Mott, who sends out the 4 Yoshida, and I was talking to him to get his thoughts about the Belmont Derby, and he said going into the race, he definitely thought that this horse could handle 1 1/4, but in hindsight, he thinks that maybe this distance is more suitable for him, and it set him up perfectly for the 1 1/16 today. He said he's been training really well. He shows an immense amount of versatility in the afternoon, and he really likes his chances going in today. He should. He's your favorite as we head out to Maggie to see what she sees on the track.
Hold on. Taking a look at number 4 out here, Yoshida, guys, and he's a horse that got fairly revved up for that Belmont Derby. He got a bit washy, but I'm not saying that's totally out of character for him, as he's a horse that I think, despite that James Murphy where he won easily hands and heels for Joel Rosario, in that he did come from off the pace that day, I think he does want to be forwardly placed, and that's what we saw him in that Belmont Derby, going 1 1/4. He wanted to be up on the engine. He was kind of restrained. I think cutting back to 1 1/16 is much more optimal for him. He's a smaller type of individual that does get himself fairly keen. He's a little less hot than what he was going to the gates for that Belmont Derby, so I'm taking that as a good sign, and overall he does look great here for trainer Bill Mott.
Well, that's much better sign for backers of Yoshida this afternoon, as he looks much more cool, calm, collected. You don't see that sweat build up, as you heard from Maggie there. So he is the 2-to-1 favorite. And Tom, give you more confidence now with this horse?
I think, you know, Tom, I'm not a huge fan of this horse. You like Yoshida. I just don't know if he's run a race yet that's quite as good as some of the races the others have run.
Well, you know what, his maiden win at Keeneland, Paul and I were there for that day, and we watched that race together. I thought Yoshida put a stamp that he was a horse to be reckoned with in the 3-year-old picture. As far as him getting a little hot on the track, some horses are just hot-blooded and do that. So I'm not going to use that as a negative for him as I might some others.
He's a tough horse to read. You know, his race that he won at Pimlico, when you're 23 lengths behind and you circle a field, you're just much the best.
He came up the rail.
But I mean, when you make that much ground up, you're the best. I mean, it's just the bottom line. I mean, and he got the job done. Now, was the 1 1/4 a little too far? I don't know. Oscar Performance went gate to wire, and it was sort of a runaround race, and I thought he ran around the racetrack and sort of stayed in the same position.
Well, that's him wrapped up right there, Andy, at the end of that race. Look, he got squeezed at the start. It wasn't that he wanted to be that far back in the race at Maryland, but he got squeezed at the start. He showed he could overcome that kind of adversity and win against a very good field. That was Preakness Day.
He can win here today, guys. I just think 2-to-1 is a bad price.
No, and here's the thing. Look at the internal fractions that he's raced in. You're going to get a little faster pace in here with the 2 Big Handsome, with the 9 Secretary of War. The last time he saw a pace of like 110, 111, he was 20-some odd lengths behind it. I get he got pinched at the start. He might be more forwardly placed today, but he still is coming out of a 1 1/4 race that might dull his speed.
You're not going to see that kind of pace here today. The 9 couldn't keep up with the 2 unless he was an all-out drive. It just depends. We'll see what the 2 does earlier. I think a faster pace helps snap decision. He gets a big class test here, but this horse has run well in all of his races, Tom.
Yeah, he has. You know, I watched him in his last race. He's had to sit behind horses when he finally got free. He made a good move to win that race. But, Andy, I just didn't see a brilliant move, and that's what I want to see when horses are stepping up to this kind of race.
He's going to have to step up the 5-snap decision, Paul, but I don't think he's impossible to price.
No, he's not possible. One thing about him, he places himself in good position. He's a tactical horse.
We'll see how things work out. This is going to be a thrilling race, Greg.
It certainly is. It is the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame, and it is Yoshida who is favored for a Hall of Fame trainer, Bill Mott. Let's send it upstairs for the call to the voice of the Triple Crown, Larry Colmus.
Here's snap decision, and Jose Ortiz moving into the starting gate. Secretary at War with a Hall of Fame rider in John Velasquez. In this Hall of Fame stakes, Arklow and Florent Giroux to the outside stall, going forward and backs off. Right now at 2-1, Yoshida is the current favorite. Under a Rod Ortiz Jr., 3-1 on Big Handsome, and the undefeated Bricks and Mortar at 4-1. They're all in line, ready for a start. They're off in the Hall of Fame stakes. Secretary at War is going out to lead them early with Big Handsome from the inside. These two out for the lead. Yoshida right behind them. Bricks and Mortar is fourth and on the rail moving into the turn. And then it's bonus points on the inside of Snap Decision. Macarios behind them. Arklow is next. And last of them all is Parlor. So they race on the turn. Secretary at War sent to the lead by John Velasquez. They're going to make the pace here. Big Handsome and Javier Castellano second through a 23.94 opening quarter mile. Joel Rosario has Bricks and Mortar third on the inside as they move on to the backstretch, right up alongside of Yoshida. They're clear of bonus points. Snap Decision on the outside, 6 lengths from the front. Macarios behind them, and then Arklow and Parlor. Up the backstretch, Secretary at War isolated by 2. Big Handsome is second, Bricks and Mortar third through a 48.11 half mile. Yoshida fourth and 4 from the front with a half mile to go. Then bonus points on the inside. They're followed by Snap Decision, who's still about 6 lengths behind. Arklow saves ground under a ride inside of Macarios. And still Parlor at the back of the field. Around the far turn, Secretary at War taken on by Big Handsome and Yoshida. And now these three line up at the top of the stretch. Bricks and Mortar is right behind the leaders. Snap Decision is there on the outside. Final furlong, Big Handsome and Yoshida. Bricks and Mortar is going to swing outside of him. Snap Decision's on the far outside. Big Handsome, Yoshida. Bricks and Mortar coming. These three will decide the Hall of Fame stakes, and Bricks and Mortar runs them down. He's still undefeated. Bricks and Mortar has won. A photo between Yoshida and Big Handsome, and then a photo behind them between Snap Decision and Macarios. The final time on the board was 1 minute 39.47 seconds.
Sharp final time, and Bricks and Mortar for trainer Chad Brown remains undefeated, a perfect 4 for 4.
Well, the race played out exactly like we thought it was. Javier Castellano pushed the pace a little bit with Secretary at War, decided, okay, let me sit a couple outside of him, try to outfinish him. But Yoshida was close, and here's the thing. Yoshida could not put him away, and Bricks and Mortar did the same exact thing last time, outfinished both of them.
He did indeed. And, you know, Yoshida, the 4-horse that was in with the Blaze, he really didn't have the greatest of trips, was widest of all the horses, stumbles a little bit at the start there. You see Yoshida, the 4 stumble a bit, recovers quickly. But what I don't understand is I think Irad Ortiz on the 4 Yoshida thought he had more horse than he had because he pushed the button pretty quickly on that turn, and Bricks and Mortar, who was behind him, decided not to go 4 wide, wait a little longer, outfinished him.
Great ride by Joel Rosario again. He sits chilly like nobody else. I don't disagree, and I bet Bricks and Mortar, but I don't disagree, Tom. I think that Yoshida may have run the best race in here out of position. I was dead wrong. I thought Big Handsome would be, I was totally wrong. You guys were right about how the race would be run. Big Handsome did run well. I still think that Javier ceded his potential edge.
Well, I think because of the trouble last time out, he just told himself, okay, and we get back to the start, you can watch Yoshida, tiny bit of a tumble right there, but watch Castellano. Now, he is obviously pushing towards the front to 2, but watch the 9 and watch Javi completely start looking to his right immediately because he wants to get outside of the 9. This is what I wanted. I can't complain. He just wasn't the best horse.
No, you were right. That's what you told me you thought would happen.
Yeah.
I thought you were crazy, and you were dead right. I'm going to tell you, Joel Rosario did everything right. He also sensed that they weren't going that quickly. He broke sharply, but he got his position on the inside, and Maggie can talk to Joel about his masterful ride.
Here with Joel Rosario. And Joel, you've been aboard this horse for every win. He's undefeated. Is he just one that knows where the wire is, that wants to get it done?
Yeah, he's a very cool horse. He just tried very hard.
Well, last time I talked to you, I was trying to get kicked, so this one's a lot nicer. I'm a big fan of bricks and mortar.
Yeah, this one, I guess, right? You know, they sometimes you get a little irritated, but he's fine. This one is fine, yeah.
And talk about your trip around there. I mean, just kind of sitting mid-pack, biding your time, and knowing what was unfolding in front of you.
Yes, I just trying to get my spot in the first turn, like, you know, the child told me about it, and then go from there, you know. After that, he just do the job, you know. He's make it sometimes easy when you find a horse like him, you know, he'll be able to do whatever you want.
Joel, congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg, bricks and mortar making Joel look pretty good out here.
Well, Joel has made a habit of that in his career. He usually looks pretty good on a horse, and bricks and mortar looks like he is a real good one. His patented off-the-pace run here, perfect 4 for 4 now. He got the better of Big Handsome and Secretariat War in the Manila, and he does it again here in a deep group in this Racing Hall of Fame. So the son of Giants Causeway for Klarovich Stables, victorious yet again. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back with much more here on Saratoga Live. Feel free to tweet us. Use the hashtag Saratoga Live and let us know what you think about Bricks and Mortar's performance here in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new NYRA Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. NYRA Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download NYRA Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
The graded stakes winning son of Bernardini is off to a sensational start at stud. Among the leading freshman sires by winners in graded stakes horses, his first crop 2-year-olds commanded prices up to 36 times his stud fee. Leading progeny include TD and Rising Star Recruiting Ready, second in the Bashford Manor Stakes, and stakes place performer Junket. The pedigree, speed, and class to become the next star in this sensational sire line. Algorithms at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and various other networks across the country. Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon. The feature goes to Bricks and Mortar. A good one here for Chad Brown. He is 4 for 4 to start his career, the son of Giants Causeway, as he takes the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. Let's go to Gabby for more.
Thanks, Greg. Standing by with trainer Chad Brown. And Chad, This horse remains untarnished in his career. Impressive performance today. What did you think of it coming down the stretch?
I thought he ran great. I thought Joel rode an absolutely perfect race. We talked in the paddock about trying to leave out of there, get better position today than we did last time, and ride the pockets and see what happens. And one thing we know about this horse, that if you set him in the clear and he has a target, he gets there.
And he, last time out in the Manila, obviously it was a very tough field, but stepping into deeper waters today with his victory today, where do you go from here?
I'm not sure. I mean, we knew even though he was undefeated coming in, he had to come with a career best race because this was a talented field today, and he came with it. So we'll enjoy this, see how he does coming out of here, and then we'll see what happens.
I know it's a long way away, but you definitely know a good turf horse, especially a good 3-year-old turf horse. Do you think that he could be Breeders' Cup potential?
We could get there. I mean, he's only 3. It's a long way to go, and if he keeps going on this trajectory, he could. Sky's the limit, really.
All right, I agree. Sky's the limit. Congratulations, Chad.
Thanks a lot.
All right, back to you, Greg.
Gabby, thank you. And there's a look at the winning rider, Joel Rosario, making all the right moves on Bricks and Mortar. He has been the only pilot aboard Bricks and Mortar throughout his 4-race career. And back-to-back stakes victories now, including that hardware after this Grade 2 win. Well, Joel Rosario has won some of the biggest races in all the world. He won the Dubai World Cup on Animal Kingdom, of course, the Kentucky Derby on Orb, the Belmont on Tonalist. He turned pro when he was just 14 years old after 6 months in jockey school. He talks about where it all began in another edition of I Am.
I am Joel Rosario. I am a jockey. Growing up in the Dominican Republic, since I was a little kid, I don't know much, before about horse racing. First one is when I started, when I was an apprentice. I have a record of more than a professional jockey. Winning my first race, I started winning right away a lot of races, and I was leading right after that, like 4 years in the Dominican Republic. It was hard, yeah, in the beginning for a little bit. So I came here, nobody knew who I was, and came here over here, and then, a lot of people, they don't know they have a horse racing in the Dominican Republic. Somebody called me to come to Los Angeles to ride over there. But I work hard every day, and then a lot of people give me a lot of opportunities. So, just trying to work hard and letting know people who I was.
Stockings is trying to give Joel Rosario Hollywood Park history, and she just might do it. And now Joel Rosario 6 at Hollywood Park.
He told me, I was like, well, you need to come to New York. And I was like, okay, let me think about it. And then go like that. And one day I decided, you know what, maybe we can do this.
Blind Luck have the grace. Blind Luck wins the Alabama in a thriller.
And Close Hatches prevails. Zeke again gets stalled in behind Syed. Now he's got some room. Now he's got some room at the inside. To the line, and it is Zeke again. Joel Rosario with complete sang-froid on the rail the whole way.
I feel good. I remember he was one of the favorite. I know the horses have before that, I know the horses have a good chance to win the race, but you never know until you go and run and try.
Gates fly, they're racing in the Dubai World Cup, the Animal Kingdom out wide.
That was a very cool experience for me.
Animal Kingdom leads, Animal Kingdom 3 lengths in front of Red Cadeau, and Animal Kingdom wins the Dubai World Cup in a US-Australia combination.
Coming from Dubai, it was like a month after that, then I remember I was doing very well in Keeneland. I win the meet, and then I went to the Derby where the horse who has the chance to win the race too.
Orb is coming with giant strides in the center of the track.
It was a very special moment.
Down to the wire, Orb has won the Kentucky Derby.
I went in the Dubai World Cup and winning the Kentucky Derby. After that, in less than 2 months, just amazing feeling, and just everything changed, you know what I mean? And then just my kid to see, oh, my daddy win the Kentucky Derby, very emotional, Dominican Republic, everybody want to play baseball. I think after winning the Kentucky Derby, a lot of people know more about horse racing, You know, even the president of the Dominican Republic congratulated me, you know, like I'm a jockey. So I want to the people know, you know, about the horse racing too, and then how it is, and you know, this is a great sport. And I was the first Dominican jockey to win the Kentucky Derby, so it was very even more special for me.
Well, Joel Rosario made an immediate impact when he came to the U.S. He keeps riding like he has been. He, too, one day could see himself inducted into the Hall of Fame right across the street. Of course, we had those ceremonies earlier this morning. Javier Castellano, Victor Espinosa, and the man they called Go-Go, the late Garrett Gomez, inducted into the Hall of Fame from the Jockey Colony. Of course, Garrett Gomez, two-time Eclipse Award-winning rider, won over 3,700 victories in the course of his career and 13 Breeders' Cup wins. His father and daughter accepted his entry into the Hall of Fame earlier this morning.
This is a little hard. He was born to be a racetracker. I mean, he just lived the racetrack life. So he was quite a little handful, and he didn't know nothing except the horses, and that's the way he wanted to keep his life. But I sure appreciate everything from the family and everything. We thank you all, his peers and everybody, for bringing this moment. There's nothing greater that he wanted. Thank you all.
I found myself trying to channel my dad's thoughts on the flight here. My dad being a man of a few words, I will say this on his behalf. Thank you to every owner and trainer that allowed him to ride their champions. I know he would want you all to know that he remembered every winning horse that he ever rode. He worked very hard to be the best that he could be, day and night, watching replays to ensure the best path to victory. Thank you.
Great moment with Garrett Gomez, the late Garrett Gomez, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. His father and daughter there to accept the award. Joining Victor Espinosa, of course, and Javier Castellano, among others that were inducted this morning. Garrett the Great, what a career he had. It could have been so much more. He left us way too soon. Part of the 2017 Hall of Fame class. And, of course, that Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Classic win on Blame, handing Zenyatta the only loss of her career, one of his greatest moments in a sparkling career. We're going to take a break in the action. When we come back, the voice of the Triple Crown and New York racing, Larry Colmus, steps out of the booth to join us here on the set. Stay tuned for that coming up.
Make NyraBets your home for online horse racing and betting. Use NyraBets to bet on live horse racing from around the world. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up at NyraBets.com and start earning your sign-up bonus today. NyraBets, racing's best play. Use promo code PICK5 to get a $200 new member sign-up bonus on NyraBets.com.
My wife knows everything. The wife doesn't know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My wife knows everything in front. To the outside, the wife doesn't know. My wife knows everything. The wife doesn't know. My wife knows everything. More than the wife doesn't know.
With 1/8 of a mile to go, American Pharoah's got a 2-length lead. Frosted is all out at the 16th pole. And here it is. The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown.
Joining me on set, the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown and of New York Racing, Larry Colmus. Good to have you on set.
What's going on, Greg? By the way, everybody's got to know these guys. It's so windy up here. Greg is using 7 hockey pucks, 7 of them.
I know, and I actually need a few more. I know the wife knows everything call was tremendous, and you're so well known for that, but that Triple Crown was pretty cool, too.
I kind of like that one better. if given the choice, I'll take the Triple Crown over the My Wife Knows Everything, but I hear more about My Wife Knows Everything than the Triple Crown. Every day was, I'd say 4 times today people brought it up.
How much did you think about that Triple Crown and knowing what was going to be on the line every time that it does come up with American Pharoah? How much prep goes into that?
Something like that, you want to be ready to roll, you know, because it's a moment of history that you know is going to happen or may happen, so you don't want to say the wrong thing. So most race calls you sort of wing, but for that one it was like, you know, if you're going to call this, you better get it right. So I did have some things in my head, and luckily American Pharoah let me do it. It was nice of him to do, because a lot of times those plans don't work out at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a chance to talk, you know, since I've been out here in New York, and you actually grew up calling races. What was in your high school cafeteria? You knew you always wanted to do this. So what was that like? You've been calling the Triple Crown since 2011 now, to finally get that chance. And I mean, there's not a lot of these jobs out there. You are the voice of the Triple Crown. Pretty amazing.
You know what was pretty cool is the first race I ever called was at Bowie Racetrack in Maryland, right? It was June the 5th, 1985. 30 years and 1 day later, I got to call American Pharoah winning the Triple Crown. So as someone who just started out calling races as a kid, and all of a sudden you get to do this, it's pretty heady stuff, and a lucky guy.
And yeah, Triple Crown, tremendous, of course, but being at Saratoga is a whole lot of fun too. You've been with New York Racing Association since 2015. What does Saratoga mean to you, and what's so special about it?
There is nothing like Saratoga. Walking around this place, seeing the crowd before the races. I like to do the old walk around and say hi to people, and you don't get that anywhere else. You know, it's just an unbelievable atmosphere every single day. All 40 days, this place is full of fun and excitement and the best racing in the world.
And, you know, it's a difficult challenge doing what you do anyway, but here at Saratoga, they run 6 days a week. So you're calling all these races. You don't really get a break at all. And what's it like here in terms of calling some of these tight finishes from that little booth you're in?
Well, the booth itself is a bit of a tough booth for calling in general, but as far as photo finishes, believe it or not, it's much better than Belmont, and it's probably the best booth I've ever called from to call close photos. I'll take more shots here than anywhere because of my angle, and of course I've called a couple in the Breeders' Cup that were too close to call, but here at Saratoga, it's pretty fun to give it a shot.
So you knowingly take more shots here and more chances?
Absolutely, because I can see really better from my angle here than I could from Belmont Park. It's 30 feet off the ground here, 90 feet off the ground at Belmont. You're looking right down at them, and it's tough.
How much practice did you do on that as you were kind of honing your craft? Did you look at old races and photo finishes and try and work on that?
Not
just something
too
you got to
much.
do at the racetrack?
Not too much. You know, after a while, like at Belmont, I figured out after a while that if the inside horse looked like he barely won, he didn't. It was the other way around because it's a good head difference. But here at Saratoga, what you see is what you got. And I can just eyeball that finish line. And unless the heads are like bobbing like crazy, I'm not going to do it. But if it's 2 of them and their heads are in sync, I'll take a shot, and so far so good.
That was a close one we just showed between New York Song and Venetian Sky just the other day. That was an impossible head bob, and you were all over it.
That was impossible.
We have, but you handled it beautifully. We, of course, have the big one coming up this weekend, one of many big ones here at Saratoga. The Grade 1 Whitney happens tomorrow on Saturday. Last year, we had a brilliant performance from Frosted.
Yeah, that was really exciting to watch him. I think I called it a walk in the park or something like that. It was an absolutely brilliant performance, and then the year before it was more of a horse race when Honor Code got there at the last stride and nailed Liam's map. So there have been 2 great Whitneys, and now we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, Gunrunner is going to be a heavy favorite, but they got to run the race, and this is the graveyard of champions, you know.
Yes, it is. In fact, we saw that in the Jim Dandy, where we saw a massive upset. Derby winner, Preakness winner beaten there. We can't wait to hear your call tomorrow, and all meet long, of course. Tremendous to have you here at Saratoga and in New York. Thanks for stopping by the set.
My pleasure. Good luck with your hockey pucks, and stay out of the wind.
I'll do my best. Yeah, the wind's died down a little bit, so we're doing our best up here. We're going to send it downstairs now to Maggie in the paddock as we get set for the nightcap here. Race 10 coming up. Maggie?
Greg, one thing I know for sure is that your hair looks better than mine right now. It's been underneath the helmet, but who cares? We have one more race to get through, and it's an interesting big field here for this maiden claimer New York breds on the turf. I'll take a look at 2 of the more inside runners, beginning with number 2, Kierland. For trainer Mike Maker, ran a valiant second last time out. He looked the part for sure in the flesh in the paddock, and once again, I think he actually looks even better. To me, he looks like the horse to beat, though people gravitating to number 3 in here. That is There He Goes for trainer Danny Gargan. Now, he is the drop down, as he'll add blinkers as well. 3/4 cup on a horse who is getting stronger, is getting fitter, and Danny feels pretty confident that he should run a bit better. And I kind of have high regards for the horse that beat him, that won that race, Red Knight. I think he's he's a full or a half to McKagan. So there's some talent out of that field that he comes out of, and he gets a lot easier foes this time around. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you very much. Well, 7-2 right now on There He Goes, the 3 for Danny Gargan. Do not forget that horse right there. That horse actually draws into this race from the also eligible list. That is the 14. The name escapes me, and there's a rider change as well. Dylan Davis will be aboard that AE, who is now in the field, making just the 2nd start of his career. He debuted actually sprinting on the turf. Decent effort in the debut. He's beat by a horse named Tiffany's Freud, who would come back to run very good here at Saratoga's. I'm rejoined here on the set by Gabby Gaudet. Maggie said she's having some trouble with the hair. It's been a difficult day for that today, hasn't it?
It has been a very difficult day. We're running around, but it's fantastic to have multiple vantage points here at Saratoga.
Well, here comes our post spread. We're going to start out with Jago's Fire, trained by Ray Handel. It's Manny Franco aboard.
Has been sprinting in the past several starts and looks to stretch out his talents today to 2 turns.
I love the race from Kierland last time out. He wound up 2nd, just missed by a neck for Mike Maker. Kendrick Carmouche aboard.
Overcame a slow pace in a race 1 wire to wire to weave through traffic in the stretch. He ran well last time.
Yeah, 9-2 on the board on Kierland. The 3, There He Goes, the one Maggie was talking about, trained by Danny Gargan. Jose Ortiz aboard.
Sitting closer to a very slow pace last time out, will need to improve off of that last race.
And he puts blinkers on this afternoon. The 4, Big Auk. It is not listed in the racing form of blinkers come off today, trained by Edward Barker with Angel Arroyo.
The blinkers came off and a little more ability went on, and maybe this one would have a chance. He does try the turf for the first time.
Yeah, 21-1, and that seems like a short price. Risky Sour is the 5. Irad Ortiz Jr. for trainer Leslie Young.
He's 0 for 18 on the turf and hoping that 33rd time is the charm.
Calculated Risker is going to drop in for a maiden claiming tag for the very first time for Gary Contessa.
Figures to be forwardly placed, stretching out from a sprint. Gary Contessa's numbers stretching out in turf races are not strong.
You like that is the 7 Eric Cancel rides for trainer Bruce Brown, another class dropper.
Curious to see where he'll be placed in the running of the race last time out. Maybe a little bit too close to that slow pace.
Rule number 1 is the 8, Ricardo Santana Jr. for Timothy Hills.
He's stretching out as well, like many others. He's run well enough going long, not totally impossible.
Yeah, he ran 3rd against State Bred Maiden Special on the grass before. The 10 Fleet Admiral for Leah O'Brien with Chris DiCarlo.
Fleet Admiral is going to have to improve off of all of his turf races. He looks a little overmatched.
The 11 is Frozen Daiquiri. John Morrison trainee, Luis Reyes rides.
will have to work out a trip from the outside post. Looks to be closing late. Actually, okay stats with second off the layoff on the turf.
Captain Kidd had a near miss at this condition 2 starts back, trained by John Hurtler with Rajiv Mirage.
If the pace falls apart, he could certainly get a piece.
And again, in from the also eligible list, rider change, Dylan Davis on the 14. The name escapes me, will stretch out.
Dylan almost stole one on the front end with a big long shot earlier in the card in the turf. He may try to do it again with this one stretching out in his second start.
That is your field here for this nightcap here at Saratoga. Mile and a 16th on the inner turf. Still to come, and it's a Danny Gargan runner. There he goes, the 3, who's the current favorite. Larry Colmus with the call-up for the finale when we come back.
Change the way you watch racing forever with the new NYRA Now app. Live racing in English or Spanish. From a variety of camera angles, race replays, talking horses, race analysis, and a multitude of on-demand content, all in high definition. NYRA Now is available on many platforms, including iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and more coming soon. Download NYRA Now today, free in the App Store, and start watching the best racing like never before.
Back on Saratoga Live, the show brought to you in part by champion sprinter Run Happy. Won at 6 different racetracks on both all-weather and dirt. This is the 2015 Breeders' Cup Sprint, in which he set a track record at Keeneland. Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. He was very impressive throughout his career. An excellent sprinter, very fast, and good to see him happy in the fields there.
His prep race for that Breeders' Cup Sprint was the Phoenix. Got off slow in that race. Saddle reportedly slipped, and it did not face him at all. Incredible runner, now standing at Claiborne Farm. Run Happy. Well, the nightcap coming up. Again, New York Bred's $40,000 maiden claiming event. Favorite right now is There He Goes. And there's a few in here dropping in for a claiming tag for the first time as you get a look at that NYRA starting gate crew, the best in the business. But Kierland intriguing as well, Gabby, and this start last time out. Second try on turf, and I love the way he weaves through traffic and just shows this explosive burst when he finds some room.
It looked like he was trying to bob and weave through a rat maze here, Greg, coming down the stretch. We don't often see this actually be successful, but he managed to find a trip going in and out. It looked like he was about to actually go to the inside of the 7 here, but he decides at last minute to go to the outside of him. And unbelievable that he didn't win this race. I thought that he was the best horse in the race, but today is a different day. He does meet some other class droppers in here, and he's going to need that pace that on the front end to do his best running, but he does draw well towards the inside, so he should be able to get a ground saving trip.
He's 5-1 on the board. Kendrick Carmouche, who actually rode him in his debut, will be back aboard. Luis Saez was aboard for that start that we showed you. But Saez on board, guys, one of the many class droppers in this field, Calculated Risker.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a couple class droppers, actually, the 3 and 7. Now, here's a question for you guys. I picked the 3 on top. There he goes. But I think the 7 second. Why should the 3 be 3-1 here dropping and the 7 be 20-1?
I think everybody's looking at the 7 and going, okay, this horse has not been less than 30-1, and even on the drop for 62.5 was 42-1, and he sort of run like it.
Yeah, they both come out of the same race at Belmont. It's interesting. There are 6 horses in this race that ran that day at Belmont, 4 in one race, 2 in another, and they both ran at the same exact distance. Now, I don't like to compare times, but when you're running the same day at the same distance at the same track, I'll do it. So I think the 3, there he goes, and the 7, you like it, come out of a tougher race. It ran about 8 to 10 lengths faster than the other race that included horses like Kierland, the 2, Risky Sour, the 5, the outside horse, Captain Kit, was in there as well. So I just think that there's a lot to be said about class, and both the horses that you guys are talking about are droppers today.
Yeah, now the horses that aren't dropping, but we were talking about before, the 2, 5, and 7. I do think Kierland ran the best race and is most likely winner. I know you guys have different opinions, though, on the 5 and 11.
Well, I think Frozen Daiquiri, the 11 in here, was actually best in there, in my opinion. When I watched that replay, it was wide most of the way, keen most of the way. Now you get the Bug Boy, you get a ton of weight off. Now, is there speed in here? Yes, there is. The 14 on the outside. But I'm hoping Luis Reyes sends this horse to the lead. And at 30-1, I think he's a live long shot.
I'm on a long shot as well, Paul, but I'm on the 5, Risky Sour. You're rarely going to see me bet an 0 for 32 maiden. But something significant happened between last year and this year. Risky Sour was gelded. He's had 1 start this year. I think the race was surprising in how well he finished. Big rider change to Irad Ortiz.
And his trainer, a trainer change, won a race over the steeplechase over far at this meet. So that's an interesting change as well, Greg.
Yeah, a couple big changes, as Tom mentioned there. That rider switch is huge as well. So 11-1 with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard Risky Sour. It is the 6th Calculated Risker, one of the many class droppers near the 3-1 post-time favorite. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call, the finale here from Saratoga.
Here comes Calculated Risker up to the starting gate, currently the 3-1 favorite. Captain Kidd is in, and there's one more to go in. And the name escapes me. Yo, that's it. The name escapes me. They're all in line. They're off. And it's Big Hawk and Calculated Risker who come out running well. And from their inside, there he goes. Goes up and after the lead. So it's these 3 to set the pace from Frozen Daiquiri. Risky Sour is out running in 5th. Jagos Fire is 6th on the inside. Followed by Kierland. You Like That is right alongside of them. And then comes Captain Kit. And there's a horse 4 wide there. The name escapes me. And then a gap of another 2 lengths more. Back to You Like That, rule number 1. And the trailer is Fleet Admiral. 23.64 was the opening quarter mile onto the backstretch. There he goes. Onto the backstretch in front from Big Hawk. Risky Sour, Calculated Risker right behind. 3rd and 4th, Jagos Fire is 5th as they continue the run up the backstretch. And then comes Kierland underway from 6th and moving on the outside of horses. The name escapes me is on the outside of Captain Kit, then Frozen Daiquiri between those 2. Rule number 1, You Like That. And Fleet Admiral at the back of the pack, 48.63 a half mile. There he goes, heads into the far turn in front from Big Hawk and Calculated Risker. Risky Sour is 4th on the inside. Kierland follows in 5th. Jagos Fire is 6th behind the leaders. The name escapes me is 7th on the outside. And then comes Captain Kit. They're rounding the far turn. And here comes Kierland on the outside. Calculated Risker goes right with Kierland, giving way as there he goes from the inside. Risky Sour behind the leaders is right there in contention. Jagos Fire is next. Then the name escapes me on the far outside. Fleet Admiral trying to make up some late ground. Final furlong, Calculated Risker. Calculated Risker to catch. Risky Sour on the outside. Calculated Risker, Risky Sour, Calculated Risker a length and a half. Risky Sour 2nd, Jagos Fire was 3rd, then Fleet Admiral in 1:44.05.
Well, it's Calculated Risker who gets the job done here with the drop in class for trainer Gary Contessa. But Tom made some good points with Risky Sour, and the 5 runs a pretty good race here to get 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, this horse got a very nice trip and a nice ride here. I think it was an excellent ride, actually, by Louis Size to get it done. Risky Sour, there is a reason that he is 0 for 33
Could
now,
you
Paul.
remind me about that?
I needed him to.
But he ran a bang-up race. And how about Fleet Admiral, the 10? He was almost 90 to 1. He completely turned his form around.
I actually thought that was a very good performance from Whiskey Sour. Good call by Tom Amos. I noticed coming down the stretch, though, it might have looked like the rider, Irad Ortiz, might have dropped the inside rein coming down the stretch. It looked like he was getting in a little bit, but Calculated Risker, well, he did perform on the drop in class.
Yeah, let's not take anything away from the winner. Look, Calculated Risker was making the drop out of Maiden Allowance Company, was stretching out, and he ran a very good race, and he probably showed his hand in his last work, which was over the turf course at Oklahoma, here at Saratoga, where he was the fastest of 8, going 5/8 of a mile.
No, he ran well in here. He got the job done. And Risky Sour, he will live to be 2nd or 3rd another day.
Well, if he keeps running like that, eventually, I know he's 0 for 33 now, but he's gonna break his maiden. Tom mentioned the equipment change, the ultimate equipment change that happened with Risky Sour in his most recent effort. But today is the day for graduation for Calculated Risker here, and the drop in class is the winning move for Gary Contessa here, the son of Into Mischief. He goes off as the 5-2 post-time favorite to take the nightcap here at the Spa on this Friday afternoon. We're going to take a break in the action. We'll be back with prices and wrap up the show right after this. Stay with us.
Eclipse Award winner Blaine retired to stud with more than $4.3 million in earnings, including a historic victory over Zenyatta in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now he's making a name for himself as an internationally successful stallion. In 2017, his top runners include stakes winner No Fault of Mine, Japanese star Resonator, and classic winner Singa, the dominant victor of this year's Grade 1 French Oaks, Blaine at Claiborne Farm.
Selected sales, superior results. Success starts at Saratoga, the #1 ranked yearling sale in North America.
Eclipse Award winning Songbird was bought at Saratoga Pheasant-Tipton. Where will you be this August?
Eclipse champion Stellar Wind is a Pheasant-Tipton Saratoga grad. Where will you be this August?
The Pheasant-Tipton Saratoga sale, August 7th and 8th. Where will you be?
Undefeated in sprint competition, Eclipse champion Run Happy captured 3 Grade 1 victories and set blistering speed records at both Keeneland and Saratoga. In the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he dominated the world's fastest runners, going 6 furlongs in a record-breaking 108 and change. The only horse nominated for 3 Eclipse Awards, Run Happy was crowned champion male sprinter, all the while racing 100% drug-free. Champion, millionaire, record-breaker, Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
And they're off. NyraBet's Pick 5 is now available exclusively online at NyraBets.com. Bet the NyraBet's Pick 5 every race day with a 15% takeout on the last 5 races on the card from the country's best racing at Belmont and Saratoga. Find it nationwide on NyraBets.com right in the Bet Type drop-down menu or at any Nyra track or New York OTB location. NyraBet's Pick 5, racing's best bet.
You're watching Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 Altitude Network and MSG Plus. That is the winner's circle for the nightcap. Calculated risker for Gary Contessa. Luis Saez get the job done in the finale.
And a well-timed ride indeed. He was a little bit forwardly placed here today, but the drop in class proved to be the trick.
So 7th time out, the charm for Calculated Risker. Let's go downstairs to Maggie for more.
Here with trainer Gary Contessa. And Gary, a horse that you kind of, and your connections, had high hopes for last year, but Calculated Risker certainly put everything together here today, getting on the grass with drop in class.
He did, and that's what he needed, a drop in class. You know, he's a smaller horse. He had some problems with the knee as a baby. We fixed him and everything, but he just didn't come back this year quite as good. So we win at Saratoga. I mean, you know, we had to sell the horse, but we won at Saratoga. He was claimed today, but we're off to Schneid, and we won at Saratoga, and you can't beat that.
That is the truth. It's such a relief and a joyous occasion as well.
It really is. The whole barn, it's like taking 200 pounds off the shoulders of everybody in the barn, especially with the Whitney tomorrow. So it's a big win for us.
And when you go into work tomorrow, I'm sure a lot of the staff, they're just a little more pep in their step.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't want to have to get off the Schneid in the Whitney. I want to get off the Schneid today, and it make it a lot easier on everybody.
And talking about the Whitney, two Brutus, you ready for take down the big grade 1?
He is ready. I mean, he's going to run his eyeballs out, but I know he's going to have to beat Gunrunner. We're up against a very formidable opponent.
Well, it'll be an exciting race no matter what. Wishing you the best of luck, but congratulations here.
Thank you so much.
All right, Greg, we'll be looking forward to seeing Gary tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Of course, he'll send out 2 Brutus going against the likes of Gunrunner and Keen Ice in the grade 1 Whitney. Of course, he looked sensational in the flat out when he won by 11 lengths at 1 mile and 3/8. But going against Gunrunner at 1 mile and 1/8, different story.
He has to employ his speed tomorrow. That's his best attribute going into the race. There are other speeds in there, as Cautious Giant is entered for Luch Racing as the potential rabbit. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but they're going to have to be on their A game to beat the likes of Gunrunner.
And I know it's nice to win the finale. I wouldn't mind getting my first win, though, in the Whitney.
Yeah.
the meet.
No. Well, I
but
think
you'll
the
take
pressure's
it.
off,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. No.
You can go into the day without a care in the world.
Exactly. A little more, as Maggie said, pep in the step coming into Whitney Saturday. Naira Betts late pick 5 follow-up. 50-cent payout, $2,032. Of course, Petrov looked like a star with his drop in class. And Bricks and Mortar, undefeated now, perfect 4 for 4 for Chad Brown. And it looks like sky could be the limit for him.
Bricks and Mortar is a good horse. The way his crucial kick coming down the stretch and the way that he can just go in and out of traffic, he's something special.
That Naira Betts late pick 5, minimum single winning ticket payout, $300,000 on Saturdays. That includes Whitney Day tomorrow, but to be eligible for that, you must play it through Naira Betts. Keep that in mind. And if you live outside of the country, again, that's the only way to play it anyway. Get signed up and started with Naira Betts. So it's been an intriguing wager for sure. And tomorrow we are loaded with all kinds of talent. Don't forget, we're on early 2:30 to 5 tomorrow. And then the Test and Whitney happening on NBC from 5 to 6 Eastern time. Not just great racing today, but special moment across the street for the Hall of Fame ceremonies. Javier Castellano, Victor Espinosa, and the late Larry Colmus inducted into the Hall.
Very well deserved. That's a heady list going into the Hall of Fame in this year's inductees list. So congratulations to all of them, and must have been an incredible day for all those involved.
Packed house at the Fasig-Tipton Sales Pavilion to see this new class inducted in the Hall. Of course, Goldakova, favorite of so many. 3 straight years winning the Breeders' Cup Mile. Sensational runner. I believe beat males, I want to say 9 times in her career.
She won 11 Group 1 races in France and England, and 9 of them were against the boys. She was very, very special talent, and she took her talents across the opposite way across the pond to the United States, taking 3 consecutive Breeders' Cup Miles.
Well, Hall of Fame Day, always a special day here at Saratoga, so congrats to everyone who earned their moment in the Hall of Fame that will live on forever. Of course, tomorrow we are back 2:30 to 5 Eastern, and then NBC with the Test, and of course the Whitney. Bricks and Mortar, the best of the bunch in the Hall of Fame, with Joel Rosario, who's been the pilot on board for each and every one of those 4 victories for trainer Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, and William Lawrence. We will see you on Saturday. Thanks for being with us. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good weekend.